Okay, I'm so happy that episodes air in the morning now rather than having to wait till midnight to watch them. But yeah, here we go then. New season. I woke up nice and early and I'm super excited. If you're new here, like and subscribe. It'd mean the absolute world. And let's start with the robot revolution. We opened 17 years ago where Belinda's boyfriend has bought her a star. But Belinda doesn't seem too chuffed, and the pair kiss really awkwardly. Jump to the present day now, and we're inside the hospital where Belinda works, and the doctor is spying on her. The doctor is trying to find someone's name via their home address. However, the woman at the desk cannot give away this information, so the doctor shuts the power off. Classic Doc. We're now in bed with Belinda in the middle of the night where the room starts to shake. She goes to investigate, and some massive red robots come storming in. The robots confirm Belinda's name and ask her to come with them. They then kill a cat as a threat if she refuses. They want her to come with them back to their home, the star of Miss Belinda Chandra. They take Belinda to their spaceship in the garden and oh my god, it's Mrs. Flood, guys, it's Mrs. Flood, it's Anita Dobson, it's Brian May's wife, what is she doing here? Oh my god, it's Mrs. Flood. Anyway, the doctor comes running out screaming, Belinda! We're now in a TARDIS chase scene, and here we go. We start the overarching story of this series. Ladies and jellyfish, let me introduce you to the glitches in time. And that's all we know right now. Belinda says that the robots should go and get Alan, who's the man from the beginning, as he caused all this by buying the star, and it has nothing to do with her. Belinda arrives and is being escorted through the planet. She is told to sit on the throne as their one true queen. And we notice that the doctor is standing in the staff queue. Belinda sits down on the throne and the robots say that she is going to have a wedding. And the robots reveal that Belinda is going to be converted into a machine to live forever as their queen. The rhyming's back. The robots say that their designated historian will now talk, and the doctor arrives to the scene. Now the doctor we saw in the garden screaming Belinda was actually 6 months ago for him. He's been living here for 6 months. He tells Belinda in code that the robots are faulty and cannot hear every 9th word. He then tells the rest of the people to rebel against the robots and a massive fight breaks out. The other person here, who was later revealed to be called Sasha, tells Belinda that she can trust the doctor as in just 6 months they have learned to trust him. She then says to the doctor, save Belinda and then take me to the stars. Now I'm writing this script as I'm watching the episode and I bet you all of my money that this person dies at some point in this episode. Okay, never mind, they die literally 20 seconds later. This wasn't even a planned joke, by the way. I wrote that as I was watching and then saw the death. The only predictable thing I saw coming. The doctor is visibly upset by Sasha's death, but hey, he doesn't cry. He stays strong in the moment like the doctor should. The doctor and gang press a big button and get teleported to the Undercity. And for sake, he's crying again. And more overarching stories, guys. Mundy Flynn starts popping up in the doctor's head. Belinda cannot believe the doctor has 2 hearts. And Doc reveals that he was told about Belinda by someone, but he can't say who. This sounds like another overarching story to me, guys. The doctor reveals that the glitches in time are due to the star diploma, and the fact that there are multiples of the same copy due to the robots going into the future. There is a massacre upstairs in the overworld, and the robots come and find the gang hiding downstairs. Belinda orders the robots to leave these people alone and just take her. And just like that, Belinda goes to sacrifice herself. And then it's revealed that the almighty robot is Alan, the guy who bought Belle the star at the beginning. The robots went back to get him when Belinda asked, and they took him here and have kept him for 10 long years. We find out that Alan probably isn't a nice person, as he likes the power. And we then find out that Belinda ended it with Alan because he was a control freak when he proposed to her on that night. If Belinda holds the diploma, it all ends. But Doc gets the robot Hoover to polish up the diploma, and Belinda takes it and puts them together because she'd seen in a film that this makes a massive explosion. The doctor pulls her out of the explosion and they reveal that Alan is now a little sperm in an egg on the floor, and the robot Hoover comes and sucks him up. See ya, Alan. The robots are now free and give Doc his TARDIS back. Somehow Belinda knows the name of the TARDIS. I'm not sure how, if this is mentioned earlier, but I can't remember now. It's very early in the morning. If not, this will be another overarching storyline. The doctor still has questions though, like how the robots got the diploma in the future. This sounds like another overarching storyline. Belinda says that he can solve the mystery after he's taken her home. But the doctor says she doesn't need to go home yet. He also reveals that he's met Mundy, who is just Belinda's family descendant. So to all the people on Twitter, middle finger to you. He says he will take Belinda home, but the god of coincidences didn't like that. So they cannot go back to Earth. They cannot get back to May 24th, which is the date that the season finale begins, by the way, so it's all going down then. The TARDIS is growling like it did last year. The TARDIS disappears and we see a floating, beat-up load of Earth objects, including Belinda's star diploma and a calendar with the 24th of May on it. Ooh! And roll credits. Wow. 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 First things first, right? Ignore the loads of white stuff on my face, right? It's the light from outside beaming through alongside my big lighting here. There's a lot of lights, right? I'm filming this in the day. Normally I do these at night, so filming them in the day during broad daylight, my face is very bright, bear with. But let's talk about the actual episode. Let's start with the first episode setup you sort of have to do at the beginning of every series. So, Space Babies was very in your face. When you watch Space Babies, the first sort of scene with the Doctor and Ruby was very much, "Hi Ruby, let me monologue. I'm the Doctor. I come from Gallifrey. Although I don't really come from Gallifrey, I don't really know where I'm from. Speaking of, this is the TARDIS, a massive thing. It comes from my planet Gallifrey. Speaking of Gallifreyans, we've got the Rani, the Bishop, the Doctor. We all pick titles, sort of things like that. I've had many companions, and I travel through time and space, and I'm like 3,000 years old, but I've actually lived for billions and billions of years. I'm gonna like traveling with you, but not much as I like traveling with Rose Tyler. Oh, and yeah, I also used to be a woman who was really boring and traveled with a load of boring people and had really boring stories for some reason. Anyway, yeah, enough of me slagging all that off. Yeah, this episode did not feel like that. It wasn't a monologue. The Doctor name dropped Gallifrey at some, did he? No, he name dropped he was a Time Lord. I don't think he's name dropped Gallifrey just yet, but it's better to name drop things throughout the episode rather than monologue at the start. And I get that can kind of be frustrating when writing, because I find that because I write scripts as well. Not like I don't actually write scripts for proper TV shows, but I'd hope to one day. For now, I'm doing test scripts, and it is long when you know all these characters have all these different traits. It would be a lot simpler to go, this is da-da-da, he does da-da-da, and he also has a mum who does da-da-da, and he's in the story because da-da-da, but you have to actually weave it in, and that's part of being a proper writer, which I'm trying to get to terms with. But yeah, sort of blended it all up into one big smoothie, and then poured the smoothie throughout the timeline of this episode, and I'd much prefer that. Let's talk about Sasha. Remember Sasha, the woman who the Doctor had grown very fond with, not in a relationship way. I'm sure it's a very platonic relationship that they had, but she was sort of like an off-screen companion, a bit similar to Anita from the Christmas special just gone. And I find that I actually like an off-screen bond with a character in Doctor Who. You know, we rarely see it, but I like it because it makes me believe that the Doctor is real, even though, yeah, obviously he's not real, I know that, but my point is, it's nice to see him get up to adventures when they're not on screen, because it makes me believe that the Doctor still has a life outside of the series. When I was younger, I thought every episode of Doctor Who was broadcasted as it happened. So basically I was like, well, why do companions keep travelling with the Doctor when they keep nearly dying every episode? And it's because we don't see the good bits, because that wouldn't make an entertaining episode. So I'm imagining there's lots of good bits as well, which I'm assuming happened with Sasha, and the Doctor promised to take Sasha to the stars once he got out of this. I do think maybe her death was a bit cheap. But then again, it's real. So, I mean, yeah, she could have died sacrificing herself at the end, which I thought would happen when I was writing this. I thought, okay, she'll die at the end or something, just missing out, and the Doctor might shed a tear then. But no, it was actually like instantly afterwards, which is probably more realistic and I think quite better. But who knows? He's got to stop crying though, man. And I get he's been with her for 6 months, and it would be sad, and you probably would cry. But like Russell, man, the feedback you got was to stop making him cry. And I know you wrote this beforehand, but it was just a tiny scene where he had a tear coming down his face, and I don't mind that, but I think because of the feedback he got last season, he could have cut that bit and it wouldn't have made that much difference to the episode. Okay, let's talk about Manny. If you don't know Manny, he's the guy who I didn't really speak much about in my synopsis, but he very much dislikes Belinda because Belinda got Sasha killed, even though she didn't ask to be here. She didn't ask to be the queen. Manny's got this really toxic vibe towards her the whole episode, and it really made me not like him very much. I'm talking like Lindy Pepper Bean level of like hatred. Okay, the big one, Mrs. Flood. We knew this would happen. I mean, a lot of people haven't seen like a lot of the leaks and stuff, but I'd seen a few leaks over on Instagram, Twitter, just on the internet, and this was one I'd seen, and I sort of wish I hadn't seen it. I wanted the surprise in the episode, but yeah, Mrs. Flood now lives next door to Belinda. This raises an ultimate question with Mrs. Flood. Is there one Mrs. Flood who's moved house, or is there multiple Mrs. Flood that is somehow revealed to be living next to all of the Doctor's companions throughout time? I don't know. She does break the fourth wall again. She looks at the camera and goes, "You ain't seen nothing," and then walks off. Her accent keeps changing as well. At the end of the Church on Ruby Road, she was very Anita Dobson posh, like, "Sorry to say that the Doctor's story ends in absolute terror." And now she's gone back to like the Church on Ruby Road, and she was like, "Oh, alright, Abdul, Merry Christmas, you ain't never seen a TARDIS before, have ya?" But we have got word from Russell that she is in every episode this series, so I look forward to seeing her. It's very funny, I've just finished my season 1 analysis, and Susan Twist pops up all the time, and I go, "Oh my god, it's Susan Twist, it's Susan Twist," and now I get to do it again with Mrs. Flood. It's quite a nice little feature I like having. Now, a theory I've come up with, it's not really a theory, it's just a question that nobody seems to be asking. Mrs. Flood, not Miss Flood, Mrs. Flood. So my question is, that nobody else seems to be asking, who's Mr. Flood? Trying to think in my head. Mr. Water, Mr. Aquaman. Is Aquaman her husband? I'm trying to think of, correlations. If you have any theories on Mrs. Flood, leave them below. Up till now, I thought she might be the Rani, but then Doctor Who posted on April Fool's Day that she was the Rani, and I don't think they would announce that if it was true. People think, yeah, double bluff, but I just don't think from a creative point that doesn't make sense to me, and I really don't think she's the Rani anymore. I hope she's a new character, because you can't really go wrong with new characters. I mean, someone will always complain, oh, you've bigged Mrs. Flood up to be a returning character and she's not. But, I feel like you'd get more backlash if you made her someone like River Song and it wasn't that great. I feel like it's a safer bet to make her a new character. And that's what I think she is. I think she's a new character. Is she evil or a villain? We don't know. I thought she might be safe. She might be good. Hang on, I just said, is she evil or a villain? I meant, is she good or a villain? A goodie or a baddie? Let's say a goodie or baddie. Is she a goodie or baddie? I thought she might be a goodie the whole of last series, but now I'm not sure. Now, something I noticed at the end, they're very heavy on the Miss Belinda Chandra. Miss. Mrs. Flood, as I've just said, is very Mrs. So are they connected somehow? Maybe we'll find out. My hand is so white. I'm so sorry. It's that. I've not got blinding curtains anymore. I've not got light cancelling curtains anymore. So you're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm sorry. Okay, the glitches in time. Let's speak about these. Now, knowing RTD, knowing Russell, we're not gonna get any more information until the finale on the 24th of May, I think it is. We'll get hints of it every episode. Shatters in time. We'll get hints of the, there are forces beyond this universe and stuff like that. But I don't think we're going to get any actual information until, the finale now, probably. And that's how I like it, by the way. It looks like I'm slagging it off in my synopsis. I keep going, oh, another overarching story. But I like it. I love the overarching stories. They're my favourite bit of every series. It gets me hyped. Monday. Now, I've written this on my list because obviously I want to get this out ASAP. I've been writing this as I was watching the episode. So I've written Monday, let's hope they don't go overkill. I don't think this is another Impossible Girl story arc. I think the whole Monday stuff is to do with the glitches in time. We shouldn't panic, and I don't think Monday and Belinda are the same person. This was confirmed. Well, it was sort of confirmed at the end of the episode. We don't fully know yet. But at the end of the episode, the Doctor basically says, yeah, this is Monday. I met her. She's a descendant of yours, 51 centuries in the future or something. Now, I don't know if Russell's put that in so we can put it in the trailer so people go, oh, another Impossible Girl Clara story arc, and then just to prove them wrong. Or if it maybe does have more of a meaning. We'll find out. Belinda. I really like her. She's very nice. She has great conflict with the Doctor, and she has the ability to be very firm with him, and she's not afraid to sort of stand up to him. Some quotes I've got, some standout quotes from Belinda. There's always a doctor standing back while the nurse does all the hard work. Now, people say that Russell can be very preachy with his writing, but do you not just think he's written that as the perspective of this character rather than him trying to implement his wokeness into Doctor Who? People need to realise that he's writing characters. Yeah, he writes it, but it's not all his beliefs. She says, all right then, I'm called the nurse, when the Doctor says he's called the Doctor. I don't need you to fight my battles. That's when this knob, what's his name? Bloody Marty or whatever his name. What's his name? Manny, that's it, Manny. This knob Manny basically says that she killed Sasha. When the Doctor goes, no, she didn't, it's not her fault. She goes, yeah, I'll fight my own battles. And I like that about her. Ruby would not have done that. Ruby would have started crying probably. And my two personal favourite quotes, the Doctor says timey-wimey and Belinda goes timey-wimey. Am I 6? And when the robots say to Belinda, you've got to marry this robot king, she goes, who am I going to marry? A spark plug? Speaking of Belinda, there's a mini scene at the end when she puts the two scrolls together. And there's sort of a pause through her timeline, and we see loads of different faces. And my theory is that these are the missing people from the story in the engine. Don't know, but we'll see. Now, I don't know if it's a different person or if they tried to make Belinda look old in one of these pictures here. I'll see if I can find it. I'm not sure. If they've tried to make Belinda look older, then they've done a better job than they did with Ruby in 73 Yards for this 1 second clip. They've done a better job in this 1 second clip than the whole of 73 Yards. Continuity error. The robots can't hear every 9th word, right? But people are talking all the time. So what if they lose track of the 9th word? Is it every 9th word in a sentence, or is it every 9th word spoken? Overall, is it really that deep? No. By the way, this is a straight up iCarly ripoff, every 4th word, that's an iCarly reference. It's essentially what's happened here. So, Russell, I know you're a big fan of Nick. Got my eye on you. The Alan reveal. It caught me very off guard. Now, I don't know if any of you know Ellie Littlechild from Who Culture. You probably do. If you watch me, you'll probably know of Who Culture. Ellie Littlechild. That's her real name, by the way. Not just me calling her a child. She went to the premiere when it happened in Leicester Square. And she said before, because she'd seen the episode before it came out, she said that the plot was sort of to be expected, and she saw it coming. This twist, I think she was on about. I didn't at all. This caught me completely off guard, and I'm very glad it did because it was a good reveal. I felt very, very happy and very satisfied with it. The whole, it's not AI, it's Al, was actually very clever, and I respect it. Very good. Well done, Russell. Pat on the back. And well done to the guy who played Alan as well, because I hate you, buddy. And if you play a hateable character on Doctor Who and I end up hating you, you're doing it well. Look at Lindy. Look at Roger Ap Gwilliam. 2 people from season 1 who I just cannot stand to look at now because of their characters, and that is good. So overall, I love this episode. The plot, the twist, the character dynamics, the effects, the storyline, the dialogue, everything. I'm gonna give The Robot Revolution a 4.5 out of 5. Truly great opener. On to Lux. We open in an old cinema where it's packed and everyone's watching a documentary about atom bombs. We then see this bloke licking a spoon. He then picks up a new film and puts it in the machine. It's titled Mr. Ring-a-Ding Goes to Town. Some moonlight soaks into the spoon and bounces off it onto the projector. That moonlight makes Mr. Ring-a-Ding come to life. We then pick up where we left off last week. The doctor's asking Belinda about her family, and she says that her mum's a violinist and her dad does something else, I can't remember. But anyway, we find out that they're actually dead and she really wants to see them again. This is definitely setting up a trickster plot, and I'm all for it. Anyway, the doctor makes a vortex indicator, or he calls it a vindicator, and it will help them land on Earth because obviously they can't get back to Earth. That's where we left last week. He casts it out and they land in 1952. Now this is where Belinda gets tempted. She wants to stay, obviously you would. So the pair get all dressed up in a spitting image scene of what happened last year. The pair step outside and they are now in Miami, but they notice that the cinema is all chained up. They notice some flowers laid next to the door where someone has gone missing. The Vindicator makes a noise and they can now head back to 2025. But because it's the Doctor, he wants to stay and investigate that abandoned cinema. But before that, they head into a diner for a coffee. When inside the diner, it's revealed that 15 people went missing in that cinema that night. And so Doc and Belinda speak to the mum of one of the boys that went missing. She says that she thought they stopped looking, but then someone delivered that police box earlier, so now she has hope. So the Doctor feels responsible for sorting the whole mystery out. The diner worker reveals that the guy who owns the cinema is still in there, and he plays the films to himself every single night. So the Doctor and Belinda break inside. Doc and Belinda are trying to get the attention of Mr. Pie. We can see him signalling for them to go away, but they don't listen. Anyway, then Ring-a-Ding pops up on the stage and they all go to investigate. We find out that Mr. Ring-a-Ding is made completely out of light, even though he has a shadow. Belinda keeps asking questions and Mr. Ring-a-Ding keeps responding with, "Don't make me laugh." And Mr. Ring-a-Ding then does the creepy arpeggio laugh from the giggle. And the letters fall off of the Harvest Bringer, which then make it Harbinger. It's revealed that Mr. Ring-a-Ding is Lux, the god of light. Reg plays one of the films, and Mr. Ring-a-Ding has to complete his little jingle thing he does. Reg then reveals to the Doctor that he had a girl once, and then the girl went to cross the road, and well, you can guess what happened. But Ring-a-Ding brought her back. By playing the film, she then came back to life. Belinda then finds the 15 missing people, all printed on the film tape. Ring-a-Ding then knocks on the door in a very empty childlike way, saying, "Let me in." Or Charlie D'Amelio, you can take it as you will. Ring-a-Ding comes in and turns the Doctor and Belinda into a cartoon. The Doctor finds out the more sad you get, the more three-dimensional you get. So he starts trauma dumping on Belinda. They return back to normal and start breaking the frame to get out of the picture. A policeman then rocks up alongside the mum they were speaking to in the diner. She is completely switched up now and is full on racist mode. The officer points a gun at Belinda and the Doctor, and you can't help feel a little bit sad. But then we find out it's a fake reality and they're still in the film. They then realise to get out they need to push the screen. They push the screen and they end up in some die-hard super fan Doctor Who fans room. It's the ultimate fourth wall break. Something is happening with reality and we need to find out what is going on because this is awesome. One of the people in the room says that they knew this would happen because it had leaked online. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. I'm watching the episode as I'm recording these bits. What is happening? This is awesome. The Doctor asks the superfans what their favourite adventure is, and they all straight away just say blink, 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 blink every time. This is Russell's way of digging the fans for just constantly loving the old episodes and not loving the new things. It's then revealed that the fans are not real, but the Doctor and Belinda are. And here he goes, he's bloody crying again. Anyway, one of the fans decides to pull the film down and they're back with a white screen. They decide to let the heat from the projector burn through the film, and then they're back in reality. The Doctor then gets tied up by the film tape and dragged up the stairs He positions him directly in front of the projector and lets the light from the projector pass through the Doctor's body, casting onto Lux, building him a physical body. Might sound confusing, but just bear with. The Doctor tells Belinda subtly that it's now daylight time, so she empties the film tape from all of the reels and is ready to blow them up to let the light come through and destroy Mr. Ringerding, because the one thing he never does is go outside because it will burn him. The light touches Ringerding and takes him up to the stars, where he then evaporates. The 15 missing people return home, and Belinda sort of likes the Doctor now. And they head off into the box, and oh my god, it's Mrs. Flood, it's Mrs. Flood! And we cue the credits. But then we come out of the credits and we see that the people are still alive, the fans, they're still alive. And then we cue the credits again. So let's just start overall with the vibes. I mean, they captured the 50s vibes of a cinema very well, especially just even from the opening shot, you can tell this is meant to be a 1950s cinema, and they really did do it well. You know, it just looks like someone's AI enhanced an old cinema video. Like, it just does look like that. So yeah, I was immediately immersed into it. It wasn't like one of those things where it looks really tacky and you got to sort of make believe that you're there. Mr. Ringerding looks incredible as well. Just from that opening sequence, we get to see him in his actual cartoon form, and he just does look real. I went somewhere once, and I can't remember where, but I went to like an old cinema. I think it was probably styled 50s, maybe 60s or something like that. And I saw a cartoon that looked like Ringerding. He looked completely like Ringerding. Russell is so good at creation. He's created this cartoon that looks exactly like a real cartoon would look back then. And I got such big Roger Rabbit vibes from Ringerding the whole way through this episode. Like when he sat there and he was doing like the whole, like, you can't see my foot, but he was doing the whole like, ooh, I got nothing to hide, stuff like that. And I thought, you know, it looks exactly like him. I also like how Mr. Ringerding isn't actually evil to start with, and it's Lux, the god of light, that actually bounces off the spoon into the projector and causes Ringerding, possesses him to be evil. I like the fact that originally Mr. Ringerding is a nice guy. Now, did anybody else hear Amy's theme? Now, I might be going mad, but I heard a few notes, right? And I was like, I recognise that, but what is it? And I went back and listened. I was like, is it Martha's theme? Is it a previous Doctor's theme? Is it something along those lines? But no, it was definitely Amy's theme, and I definitely heard it. And you definitely heard it as well when Belinda was explaining about her parents. Speaking about Belinda's parents, right, this is a perfect setup for a trickster story. If you missed it in my little synopsis or you haven't seen the episode, by the way, watch the episode because you need to watch it to get what I'm saying. Belinda's parents are dead. We find this out at the beginning of the episode where she says her mum's a violinist and her dad does something else, I can't remember. But we find out that they are dead. Now, I wasn't expecting this at all. I was expecting them to be alive, we'd meet them at some point, but no, they are completely dead. And this is exactly what happened to Sarah Jane, and the trickster took advantage of that and offered her the chance to swap. I'm really hoping we get a trickster story because he's been teased for a long time and he has not been around for ages, so I just want to see him. So please, 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 bring the trickster back, man. He's so good. The Vindicator, or the visual indicator, or virtual indicator, something like that. It's the big stick thing we've seen that is apparently in every episode this series, which I'm all up for. We've seen it in like leaked shots and things, and it is quite cool. It does its job. Its job is to, I can't remember exactly. I've just finished watching the episode, but it like sets a pathway to Earth basically, and that's how they end up in Miami. So they're just a bit off, but yeah, that's that. The Vindicator. It looks quite cool. It's got a cool name. It looks a bit like the Sonic staff, or was it the Sonic? Let's talk about the outfits. A bit like the Devil's Cord. How like Ruby and the Doctor just settled into the 60s. Is it the 60s or 70s vibes? They did the same thing in this episode, pretty much shot for shot, which makes me think that maybe reality's being played with. Yeah, it was literally shot for shot. But the outfits, the outfit department team are really good because they have completely nailed 50s outfits here. And they look, I mean, Belinda, let's use their real names, Varida and Ncuti look incredible in these outfits. And I'm not the one to normally point that out. I never really notice things about people, but they looked incredible. And it really added to the episode because I had faith that these existed. You know what I mean? I had faith that this is real. So let's talk about racial segregation. It's a big part of this episode because obviously they're in the 1950s and our lead actors are both non-white, as it's described. If that's offensive, let me know and I'll stop saying it, but I don't know what better ways there are to say it. And in the diner, we see the man who works at the diner basically say he doesn't mind breaking the rules to talk to them and speak to them because technically they shouldn't be allowed in there. But yeah, I like this addition, and the mum whose son went missing, Tommy. It's nice because it shows a different side to racism back then. Now, obviously, I've never been affected by racism like properly. I'm not a racist person, and that's not because of the times. You know what I mean? Like, I don't dislike people because of something as simple as their skin colour, like. And I'd like to think that people like me existed back then as well, and I like that this sort of shows off that. And people might think maybe that takes away from the big deal that racism was back then, but we've had episodes like Rosa and even Dot and Bubble, even though Dot and Bubble is set in the future. We've seen the Doctor get racially abused. I like the fact that now we are seeing that there are some people who we could still have faith in back then. It wasn't every single person was a massive racist. There were a lot, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it was really good back then. I'm just saying I like the fact they've shown that some people were actually willing to break the rules just to have conversation with these people. These completely innocent people who should not be segregated for any reason at all. I like the fact that Belinda says that the doctor is Scooby-Doo and he replies saying, "No honey, I'm Velma." I find that quite funny. And later on, actually, did you catch it? I'm just reading my notes. The doctor called Belinda Fred, which I thought was quite funny as well. You probably did catch it. It's not very subtle. It was just literally in the episode. Let's talk about Mr. Pye, Reginald Pye, who is a real person I've Googled, but I don't know if it's based off of him or not. But I recognise the name, so maybe it is or maybe it's not. I'm not too sure. But I like how he's not evil. I theorise that maybe he's the evil one and Mr. Ringerding is just the front man for this whole thing. Pye lost his wife and he had a film of his wife, and Ringerding was able to bring his wife back to life. This is a lot of rhyming. He was able to bring his wife back to life through just the film, which I liked. Big thumbs up from me. I like he's just a normal guy whose life has been taken over by Lux. His life's been taken over by Lux, and because he doesn't want to run away from Lux because Lux shows him his girlfriend, that's an important part of writing. You've got to have a reason as to why a character doesn't do something that isn't just they don't want to or they're not up for it. You know what I mean? And his reason is that he doesn't want to run away from Lux because Lux is bringing life to his dead wife, girlfriend, it's not really said what she is. The doctor at one point, Mr. Ringerding starts doing his jingle again, you know, I'm Mr. Ringerding, and the doctor goes, cut, and he stops. And then he looks down, he's like, who am I saying cut to? This is an overarching story, right? So, there's no glitch in time in this episode. It makes me think maybe I got the glitch in time bit wrong, and maybe that's not part of the overarching story of this series. But there is definitely more going on with reality, and it does touch on it a little bit later in the episode, which I will get to. But who's he saying cut to? And why is it working? And is reality being played with? And what is going on, guys? There is a theory from the lovely Tharies and many others on this platform who say that the Doctor is trapped in a TV show, which he is, obviously, we've seen on here, and he comes to life, he realises that he's in a TV show, a bit like Red Dwarf when they come back to Earth and realise that they are in Earth. But this sort of does happen in this episode, so maybe I'm thinking it's not an overarching story, it's just a one-off story, which is this. There's a point where the film stops playing in the background, so it stops playing on the screen, and that means that Ringerding is now free to move, and he's at the door saying, please let me in. That is like spitting image of the empty child, you know, are you my mummy? The tape stops playing, and then he's at the door saying let me in, and it's like, okay, this is a clear throwback, and I'm all for it. As we know, I'm a big fan of The Empty Child and The Doctor's Answers. It's one of my favourite episodes of all time. It's in my top 3, I think, up there with World Enough in Time and Departing Other Ways. They're my top 3. Okay, so the Doctor explains Gallifrey to Belinda in this. At the start, he mentions where he's from. He mentions he's from Gallifrey. And Belinda's like, oh, let's go there. Very similar to how Martha did it. And he's like, oh, not today. But then later in the episode, he realises he needs to get sad in order to become more three-dimensional. So then he starts explaining Gallifrey. And oh my god, oh my word. He does it in a way that isn't trauma dumping to an extent. It is, but it's not like at the start of Space Babies when Ruby walks in and the Doctor's like, right, I'm the Doctor, I come from here, I do this, my name's this, but I don't know where I come from. Oh yeah, this is my mum, but she's not really my mum. Anyway, I come from this planet, I lived here for a long time, I've travelled with loads of people, da 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 da. There's none of that. It's just he needs to get sad, so he explains things that make him the most sad, which is he doesn't know where he's from and his people. He grew up with the dead. I don't know what that was. Okay, let's talk about the police bit. There's a bit where the Doctor and Belinda are still in the film, and they bring the film down, and the policeman comes in. He comes in and he's like, put your hands up, and then he's like, you're in a wide area. It's not real. When I was watching it, I got really sad at this bit because I thought we were going to get some like dark turn to the story. But luckily, it was just a little switcheroo, fakeroo type thing. And yeah, I'm glad about that because I like... This episode is very dark, obviously, but it's also got a lighter tone because it's about light. But I do like it, and I do like that bit not being real, because the woman switched up as well. The woman was like, I knew he was up to something, but like, I don't know, it made me a bit sad, but it's not real, so it's fine. The Doctor Who fan bit, where he breaks through the TV and he's in the fan's house, is a really good way of Russell connecting with us, the viewers, by putting us in the episode. Even though, you know, overall it's meant to be, oh, they're not real, but the Doctor is real. We are real, the Doctor's not real. But Russell made some subtle digs at us, like saying how we're all annoying, and that all our favourite episodes are Blink. We're not willing to give the new things a try, but I'm hoping this episode can change some things. I like the whole hashtag cancel Doctor Who. That was very, very funny. Just overall, I think it was class. The ultimate fourth wall break, as I'd like to call it. So when the Doctor and Belinda go into the film, it feels very much like they're in the Toymaker's corridors, you know, and they're just sort of walking through all the different bits. That, to me, feels exactly like when the Toymaker, when the Donna and the 14th Doctor are walking through the toy makers sort of like, well, they like corridors. I don't know how to explain it. They go through all the doors. Reminds me a lot of that. So yeah, the arpeggio was a nice touch as well. Very similar to Maestro, both episode 2 as well. What's going on with 2s? And let's talk about Mr. Pie finally letting go of his old girl. He sets fire to everything. He saves Belinda's life as well. He tells Belinda to get out. And he sacrifices himself and dies with his wife. No, he dies to go and find his wife, which is very nice. He's the true hero of this episode. I got to the end and I thought, Mrs. Flood's not been here. We were told that she was meant to be here, and then she pops up at the end and I'm like, oh, hey Anita, how you doing, love? And that's it. That's the episode. Oh yeah, the people came back. The 15 people, I forgot to write that down. The 15 people came back at the end, which reminded me a lot of what's the second part to Silence in the Library? Forest of the Dead. It reminds me of Forest of the Dead when all the people come back at the end after they've all been saved to the computer. Okay, hello, it's me again. Now at this point, like I said in this video, I was away. So I just wanted to wrap up the video like as quick as possible because I was in someone else's house, so it just felt a bit off. But yeah, I'm here now to give you my scoring, because I forgot to give you a score on this episode. I did give it a scoring on the podcast, but I thought it'd be better just to jump in now and tell you now that my rating for this episode was a 4.8, which is incredible still. Out of 5, by the way. I always rank out of 5. Everyone does out of 10. I feel like 10 is too big of a... I don't know, too big of a... From 0 to 10 is too big. 0 to 5, perfect. 4.8 out of 5 for me. Let me know what you thought of the whole series in general in the comments. And yeah, on to The Well. We kick off where we left off last time with Belinda and the Doctor trying to get home. But they can't do it, and Belinda suggests that Earth might be broken. They eventually land 500,000 years in the future. They change clothes and join these lot as they fall into a pit. The pair land and Belinda sees her first new planet. The Doctor then gets friendly with the gang but then reveals that the Vindicator is done. They can return home, but in traditional Doctor Who fashion, they're stuck for at least 5 hours. The space gang reveal that they're here to retrieve one last life form, stuck inside an old mining base. They keep searching and find loads of dead bodies around the base. We do, however, find a survivor sitting on a box. She reveals that the other crew went mad. Belinda offers to help her and the Doctor goes to the engine room. On arrival, they discover a well that goes 5 miles deep beneath the planet's crust. Belinda and Mo are talking, but then there's a jump scare. Belinda thinks she's seen something. The Doctor and the other gang are looking at some CCTV footage of the final moments of the crew, as they're all warning about something from the well. Belinda and the rest of the investigators start to see the thing again. The Doctor breaks all the clues down and realizes that he is in fact on a planet from his past. Midnight. The Doctor then enters the big room where one of the investigators is dead and Alice says that there is something behind her. If you go behind the thing behind her, you die. The knobby guy who wants to kill Alice raises himself from second in command to first. He then circles Alice, leading her to turn around, and then the monster starts killing off the gang. This leader woman, chief person, tells Alice to turn back around and then kills off the ego Don. The Doctor reveals that we cannot take Alice. She has to stay because of the entity on her back. The Doctor addresses the creature and it's revealed that the creature knows his name, and the reason Alice survived is because she could not hear it. Alice is deaf, by the way. The Doctor realises that the exit is behind the entity. The head woman starts firing the pipes where mercury comes flooding out of it. Mercury is reflective and reflects the monster's view of itself. The monster seeing itself forces it to let Alice free. They all run to the airlock, but it can only hold 6 people at a time. 6 of them head off, leaving the Doctor, Belinda, Mo and Chief behind to catch the next one. However, there's a boom. The lift clears, but the Doctor says they cannot risk it. He thinks it's here. Belinda then reveals that the entity is on her back. The Chief reveals that if they could just shoot the entity, then it will travel to her and the rest could leave. She tries this and misses. Belinda is dead. Mo tries to bring her back to life via Belinda's own guidance. Meanwhile, the Chief realizes the thing is on her back, so throws herself down the well. The Doctor assures Belinda that she is fine. Mo is speaking to the top dog and oh my god, it's Mrs. Flood, guys, it's Mrs. Flood, it's Mrs. Flood. Mo is speaking to Val, where Val notices something behind Mo. And roll credits. Oh my god. Oh my god. Guys, it's happened. It's finally happened. It's finally happened and it wasn't terrible. The hood is coming down. The sonic shades are going on because, guys, this was incredible. First of all, let's just start off slow. Let's start off slow with the TARDIS translation. Again, I keep comparing things this series to last series. Last series, in Space Babies, the Doctor just monologued the whole time. Ruby, no, he's not Northern. Ruby, I'm a Time Lord. I come from da-da-da. I do this, I do this, I do that. I come from here. I do this. The TARDIS, it translates. We go everywhere. This, the Doctor subtly dropped in that the TARDIS translates, and it feels right. It feels better than just dumping everything. And I say this every single week of this series so far, but it's something I'm noticing. It's something that I do really like and I think is good. And Brittany was playing as well as they were changing clothes, so you know, that's always an up. Now they exit the TARDIS and they're on this like ship where they're all about to jump down and save the person in the well. Now they didn't seem to care that the Doctor was there. They obviously cared when they reached the bottom, but when they first exited the TARDIS and the TARDIS just appeared, they just didn't care. Maybe it's the thingy field. I've forgotten what it's called now. I always say it. The protection field, perception filter, that's it. Now the Doctor and the Captain or Chief, I'm not actually sure of her name, but she was great in this episode. Right, I'll get onto her in a little bit. The cold look the Doctor gave her when she said hope is irrelevant. This is actually something that made me not like her, and I would have liked if at the end when she sacrificed this, well, she did sacrifice herself, she'd have said something like hope is always good or something like that. That would have circled it back round, because this phrase here made me really not like her as a person, which I take back now, but again, like I say, we'll get onto that later. Now this is interesting. When they're discovering all the dead bodies on the base, the Doctor says, he picks up one of the dead bodies, well not picks up, but looks at the head of one of the dead bodies and goes, broke his neck. Now this immediately for me goes, weeping angels. They've been speculated to be in this episode, like most things have, because Russell has kept this a bit quiet, obviously for obvious reasons. So we've been speculating, you know, obviously Midnight Entity, Flood, Vashanarada, and to be fair, like, some people said the Weeping Angels. I didn't see it, but after this comment, I was like, oh god. He said broke his neck, and then after like a 3-second pause, he says, broke his everything. So I think that was Russell's way of sort of teasing us a little bit that it could be angels, but it's not. Okay, this is the first proper standout moment of the episode for me. So the Doctor and gang have found Alice. Yeah, Alice. Now, Alice is a deaf person. Okay, and the thing that I've always wondered about deaf people in Doctor Who is the TARDIS could not translate deaf. It cannot translate sign language. It's not possible. Unless somehow it is. They could probably make it possible. Somehow their hands move for just a deaf person to see. But I like the fact that the Doctor has gone out of his way to learn sign language. It just includes more people, and that's always good in Doctor Who, and just good in life in general. You know, the one language that the TARDIS cannot translate is probably sign language, so it's nice to know that the Doctor went out of his way to learn to do it. By the way, just before anyone comes at me and says, it's the TARDIS, the TARDIS translates sign language. It doesn't, because Belinda can't do it. Belinda cannot do it. She specifically says she can't do it in this episode. So I like the fact the Doctor's gone out of his way to do that. Now let's talk about Alice, right? She was very, very good. I think I've seen on posts and things and press releases that she is the first deaf actor to be in Doctor Who ever, which is great. Great step forward. Love that. I think she was very good at what she did. She played the role very, very well, and I totally believed this situation. I like the fact there's a twist on it, right? People might not like the fact that, oh, you get a deaf person in and then make the whole plot based around the fact they're deaf, but I think it's more inclusion rather than including it for the sake of including it. Let me know what you think of that in the comments, and let me know what you think of the episode overall in the comments as well. Now, I filmed my reaction to this episode, and as soon as this Alice person appeared on my screen, I had some things to say. If you want to see my full reaction, I might post it at some point. I don't know. But I just say, I could already see Doctor Who Twitter and like just toxic places for the show just blowing up at the fact there's a deaf person in this episode. Oh, bloody hell, my Doctor Who are bloody bringing in deaf people. Bloody hell, why? Like, it makes it so much harder for me to watch and enjoy the episode when there's all this sign language going on. God, man. Grow up, dog. My reaction to the Midnight Entity was very cool. Oh my god. It was called Midnight. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Now, Alice's position on the ship was chef, and she says a thing in the episode where she says, I didn't even cook. I just opened a protein meal and added some salt. Is this a dig at gym lads? I don't know. I hope it is, because that would be quite funny. I would find that very, very funny from Russell if he did that. Okay, let's talk a bit more about the overarching story. We did not have a lot of overarching story in Lux, but in this, there's a lot of it. So these people that we're with are technically humans. I think they're from a sister planet of Earth, and the Doctor's like, oh, you're a sister planet of Earth, you must know about Earth. And they go, no, what's Earth? Your tests are weird. We don't know what Earth is. Earth isn't real. But what's happening to Earth, guys? What's happening? Russell is so good at what he does. Like, he's so good at it. It makes me, I just want to skip ahead to May 24th and see Wagwan. Something that not concerned me, but made me feel a bit like, what? This episode is when Belinda goes to heal Alice. Right, why is she doing that? Why is she healing Alice? We've literally learned over the past 5 5 minutes that Belinda knows nothing about this medicine and knows nothing about these people. So why is she doing it? Surely they have a medic on site for this rescue mission. I don't know. She pulls it off though. Fair play, Belle. And here we are, the moment, the big moment. The midnight entity. I cannot believe that it's back. Like, seriously? There were so many hints to it, but knowing Russell, he also loves a red herring, and I didn't know if it could happen or not. Like, I just thought maybe it would ruin it, but he's done it perfectly. Now, what I don't like is in my reaction, I pointed this out as well. You can actually see the entity at one point. Like, if you pause it, like one of the jump scare bits at the start, if you pause it, you can see like a black ball. And I didn't like that very much. I feel like that sort of took away from it a tiny bit. But it's not noticeable unless you pause, but I don't think they should have added that. Now, I watched Midnight back last night in preparation, because I thought, just in case it happens, I might as well watch Midnight again. I love the episode anyway. It's definitely in my top 5 episodes probably, and it's such an iconic monster in the Whoniverse that definitely deserves another sequel, well, a sequel. But like I say, that's showing the black thing, and also the fact that we know it's sort of invisible, I think does take away from the sort of eeriness, because our brains are always going to be scarier than what's shown to us. I think maybe if it was like, unless it is and I missed it, I think maybe if it was like the entity has eaten something or done something to disguise itself and make itself invisible so no one could see it. I don't know if that's what happened. If that did happen, then I'd take everything back, and this was great. But I think if it didn't happen, that should have happened, and that would have made us feel like we aren't just seeing an invisible creature. You know, when we hear the banging outside the shuttle ship, whatever it's called, the Crusader 50 in Midnight, when we hear the banging outside, immediately our brains go, well, is this like a Lazarus experiment creature? Is it an invisible creature? Is it a cat? You know, what is this creature? We don't know. And our brains will always wonder what it was. Whereas in this, I feel like we've seen it's invisible. It sort of maybe takes a bit away. Not too sure though. Let's talk about the chief. I call her the chief, the leader. I don't know her name. I don't know if we don't know her name on purpose, or if it's like, you know, the whole, we didn't know the hostess name. I think we did know her name, I just missed it, so apologies, but I really liked her. To start the episode off, I didn't like her after the whole, you know, hope is irrelevant thing. I thought, right, toss you, you're an obed, don't like you. But that sacrifice at the end, what an incredible, she does her duty. I love officers in Doctor Who. Now, I don't like guns, and neither does the Doctor, so when there's always someone who's got a gun, I'm like, oh great, you got a gun. But just whacked you. I like Doctor Who soldiers and officers that stick to their duty and sacrifice themselves, because it shows that overall they're not terrible people, it's just the life they've gone down. And finally, the ending. Actually there's Mrs. Flood as well, but you know, there's not really much to say about her. I don't think is she a god? I mean, she's talked about the Vindicator. What's going on with the Vindicator? I don't know. If you want to hear us talk about more about Mrs. Flood, I've got a podcast coming out tomorrow or Monday with my good friend Jack Collins, where we'll sit down and talk about this episode. So make sure you tune into that as well. But let's talk about the ending. It ended on a cliffhanger again. We assume that the entity dies with the chief when she throws herself down the well. We are then proven wrong, because the entity is now on Mo's back, which is good because it makes us realise that the chief sacrificed herself for nothing. And it also makes us realise that the entity just can't die, and the entity's still out there, and it's on Mo, someone we care about. So, Midnight third call, whoever it's called, don't know, will it happen at some point? I hope not. I think let's leave it now, Russell, let's leave it. Don't get too power hungry, please. So yeah, overall, I really loved this episode very, very much. It gave the Midnight Entity the perfect sequel, you know, without having to spoil its origin or proper intention. It's just pure horror. So I'm going to give The Well a 4.6 out of 5. Truly great episode. And on to Lucky Day. We open with fireworks as the TARDIS materialises in 2007. Belinda and the Doctor come out of it, and Doc finds 50p on the floor. They then meet a young boy called Conrad, and Ncuti gives Conrad the 50p and he runs off to show his mum. But his mum hates 50p, so bashes him round the head. We now cut to Conrad 18 years later, talking about the time he saw the police box on his podcast. And surprise, Ruby's a special guest. Conrad is talking on his podcast and says that he saw a blue box a second time last year. We flash back and he gets splooged on by an auton, then creepily spies on the Doctor and Ruby, where Ruby gets an antidote for the alien goop. He then takes a photo of Ruby entering the TARDIS and then posts her online like some missing person. So she's pretty much forced to come on the podcast. Conrad admits to her that he thinks Unit is fake, and him and Ruby go for a romantic quickie. Coffee. coffee. Ruby says that the splooge creature has come back after a year because Conrad didn't take the antidote that she took. So Ruby gives him some and he confesses his love. They then go for dinner. Bloody hell, Pete, you love a good love story, don't you? Carla's back. Woo! Cherry's back. Woo! They're on a date a few weeks later and they kiss. Louise, Cherry and Carla are at the table and reveal that Ruby and Conrad are going to a village. And they're all at a pub now, but the lights are flickering. Ruby rings Kate and Kate says that there are no actual faults in the area, and she checks and the creatures are locked away. The lights fully go off and there's a screaming from outside. Conrad reveals that he did not take the antidote that he was meant to, and Ruby goes for some fresh air. Then Conrad joins her, and they catch a glimpse of the creature, but fear not, units are here. They fire at the creatures and find out that it's all a hoax. Conrad then pulls a lance and mugs Ruby off to her face and to the Instagram Live, revealing that he's the big boss of the hoax. He's on Facebook Live, destroying the reputation of UNIT. Conrad gets bailed in court and leaks the addresses of all UNIT employees, so they all move into the UNIT tower building. But there's a mole inside, and they let Conrad through, and Conrad comes in with a gun. He then insults the Brigadier. Too far. Kate then opened the Shriek's door, and because Conrad didn't take the antidote, he gets mauled by them. But then Ruby saves him, but then he gets mauled by them again. Sadly, he'll live. We see him in prison as we hear a warp. He's now inside the TARDIS. The Doctor grills him, but Conrad's still a massive knobhead. But then the guard arrives. Oh my god, it's Mrs. Fun! And she lets Conrad out of his cell. And roll credits. Okay then. Okay, let's talk about this. Ignore the fact it's Rudolph season. I don't know why. Just allow it, man. Just allow it to be there. I'm going to put on my shades because I'm cool. The first thing I want to start off by saying is, how is Belinda not tired or hungry or need to go to the toilet? She's been traveling for days straight now. Yeah, I suppose there might have been like 30 seconds in between episodes, but majority of the time these episodes pick up off the back of each other. Like, they're very much continuous. We're halfway through the series now and she's not yet had a sandwich or gone for a wee or slept, you know what I mean? These are all natural human instincts, so what's going on there, guys? I also love how 2007 is like a good flashback year now, when like 2007 was when Doctor Who was at nearly its peak, you know what I mean? So it's cool that they can go back to that now. I like that, you know, because when I used to watch Doctor Who in 2007, well, I didn't watch it then, but when I was watching it like 2011, we'd see flashbacks to like the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, and I'm like, well, there are people watching who lived in those times, but I'm not one of them. But now, I am one of them. Now, was there Autons in that scene or not? Because I'm not gonna lie, I've been convincing myself over the past few weeks that there were gonna be Autons in this episode, just for a little glimpse. I did mention it in my synopsis as a little joke, but I can't tell if there was. There was a bit where I looked and I was like, well, are these mannequins moving or not? I'm not sure, but I would have loved if there were Autons, just as a little hint towards the 20 years of New Who, which I feel like would have been easy to put in, especially in this episode where there's mannequins everywhere. So I was a bit let down that there weren't Autons, but then again, that's my own fault for thinking that, so I can't really blame the people who wrote it and the people who made this for not putting Autons in, but I do think it would have been a nice little nod to New Who, as obviously the Autons were the first monster back when Doctor Who came back in 2005. So it would have been nice, but we don't think we got it, unless we did and I'm wrong, so prove me wrong in the comments if you think that. Something else I saw online was that when Conrad is taking a picture of Ruby, it's behind the wall, he's sneaking behind the wall, that is the same filming location as The Empty Child, when, you know, the child's like, Mummy, to Rose, it's that same location, which is cool. I love when Doctor Who reuses locations, because I can look and go, ooh, that. I actually saw this a while back and forgot, so it's cool that I realised today. That could have been a cool cameo as well for the 20th anniversary. You know, Conrad takes the picture of Ruby, and then he just hears, Mummy, and he's like, what? A little flaw. Yes, I suppose it's the same sort of thing as the spacesuits last week. Like, how did the Doctor and Belinda know what spacesuits to get into? This is quite similar. How did Ruby just have a spare antidote lying around for this weird creature gunk? Like, how did she just have one? Obviously, the caveat to this point, or the answer to this question, is UNIT. She got one from UNIT. But I don't think she has, because when she rang Kate, it seemed like Kate was like surprised at the call. So who knows? Maybe she just kept one, or just maybe it's because the writer wrote it in and didn't think of a way around it. Another thing I love is when Ruby is on the podcast with Conrad. Conrad like confronts her about aliens and stuff, and she's like, "Well, we all know aliens are real," and I love that. Because I hate when Doctor Who has a massive alien invasion, right, on mainly London, big alien invasion on London, and then the next week when it's all solved, everyone's like, aliens? Pfft, they ain't real. And we just have to pretend that the population don't know aliens exist. Like, how many times have the Daleks taken over? Too many. So I'm glad that they acknowledge that, but how long before some other writer decides to undo it, and then we're stuck with, ooh, aliens aren't real. You know what I mean? Also, something that annoyed me, I do a podcast myself, and the thing about this, what annoys me, right? I'm recording this in the morning. There's a window there, and that window, because it's the morning, is very bright on my face. So I have a whole lighting pole here, which I normally light up behind me. Oh, actually, looks quite better, actually. I might keep it like that. It's annoying that this lighting always, like, makes me look too white, right? I'm big on lighting. When it comes to filming my podcast, which I do, there's a lot of lighting involved. But why on earth on this Lucky Day podcast are they filming with the lighting facing that way? What sort of logical sense does that make? You don't have the lighting facing... That's stupid. That's like me getting my lighting pole here and just having it come into the shot. Like that. That's like that. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Messed it up now. Messed it up. But yeah, I just find it mad why the lighting is facing, like, poking out a specific way. Like, what? But a big up from me. Kate and Colonel Sexy together. Yes, please. We sort of knew it would happen because in the Empire of Death, we saw it sort of hinted, you know, they held each other's hand, and I was like, oh, those two, and now they're actually together. Assuming so. They're still keeping it a secret from Ruby. Now, a downside I do have to this episode is because there's no B-plot. As if you don't know what a B-plot is, I think I've mentioned this before. You have an A-plot, which for this episode is units a hoax, aliens aren't real, and then you have a B-plot, which could be the Doctor and Belinda doing something, trying to get back to Earth, but they can't for some reason. There's no B-plot in this episode. It's very much 73 yards, straight on, story continuing. It makes it feel quite slow at certain points. For those who don't know, I write scripts as well, and I do write Doctor Who scripts, not for the actual show, just for my own pleasure, which sounds a bit odd. And I've written one, and the one I've wrote has two plots. It has an A plot and a B plot. If you want to read it, there is a video on my channel where I tell you how you can read it, so go find that. But the other script I'm writing at the minute is very different, and it is sort of like this, continuing on and on and on. And I finished the first draft, and I went, this feels like it's too slow to you know what I mean? Like, it felt like it was dragging a bit. Like, I'll get onto it in a minute, but the whole alien fight scene at the end, it just dragged. So I've gone back and I've done a second draft, and I've added in different bits to sort of add to the storyline, but they're at different rooms, different scenes, even if they all contribute to the same story. I'd have loved more unit when Ruby's away, and then eventually they come together, but the whole pretty much first half an hour of this episode has no B plot. It's just continued story, which sometimes work, but I just feel like it did feel like it was dragging at certain points. However, I do love the scene where Unit get exposed on the Facebook Live. I love how sad it is for Ruby. It makes you really feel connected to her, because you can, I mean, we already feel connected to Ruby from last series, but you look at her, she's really upset about all this stuff going on, and you can only help but feel for her, and I do like the way that made us connect with her. I think that was very, very good. Trinity Wells is back. I tell you what, the smile that I got and the shout that I let out when I saw Trinity Wells on my screen again. Yes, yes, yes. And if you're a little punk out there and you don't know Trinity Wells, she was the big news anchor in America on, was it Fox News or CNN News? There was some sort of news thing back in the 2000s era. And every time there was an invasion, it was Trinity Wells was on CNN News or something, and now she's got her own show. Yes, I know she was in The Giggle, whatever. But The Giggle was nearly 2 years ago now. We're seeing Trinity again, which is good. I love Trinity Wells. More of Trinity Wells, please. And I loved the Brigadier reference as well, because he doesn't get talked about enough. Or maybe he does. I suppose he was mentioned in The Legend of Ruby Sunday last year, and obviously there was the whole Cyberman salute thing from Death in Heaven. But like, when I was younger, not so much at the minute. I tell you what, I'd love to get back into it, but I find it more difficult now I've grown up. But when I was younger, I was a big classic Who fan, and I loved John Pertwee. He was my favourite out of all of them. And my favourite episodes were the ones with the Brigadier in them. I just love him as a character, and I think he makes me believe that character exists, which is a big part for me, because my brain's not very indulging in things that I see. I sort of can always tell this is a TV show, which is probably why I struggle to get into Classic Who now, because it feels more like you have to have an imagination to watch it, because the sets are wobbly, because it's in 4:3, some of it's in black and white, it's quite slow, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But I'd love to get back into it. I might start watching the Pertwee era all over again. Now, I like the clever payoff of, obviously, the fact he didn't take the antidote is the reason why he died, but don't you think it did go on for too long? I know I've dug into this already, so I won't go too deep into it, but it just felt like it was dragging. There was a lot of, guys, stop it, and then there's a monster going, meh, but it's that for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, guys, come on, we could cut this down, cut it down. But it was a clever payoff. I'm not sure about the full ending, because nothing's really changed. They've sort of just all ended up in the same situation that they were originally. Like, oh, unit's a hoax. Well, it's not, and we find out it's not, which we already knew, and that's it. And yes, I know Conrad's in prison, but we didn't know of Conrad before this, so nothing's changed for us as the viewer. But I did like how they didn't let Conrad die, because that's what Doctor Who's all about. You know, there's no killing. I mean, there is, and it's very easy. I did think when Kate was like, well, I'm glad the Doctor's not here because he'd stop me doing this. I thought she was going to kill him. And I'm like, I like when Doctor Who goes dark, but we've had a lot of that recently that for new viewers, it just sort of seems normal that Doctor Who's about killing bad people. When people who, like me, have watched since 2005 and even from, like I say, the Pertwee era, we know it's not about that. It's not about killing people. It's about letting people live even if they've done bad, because we want them to change. We don't want them to die. So I like that we sort of stuck to that. And I like I like the fact that Ruby was the one to do it. She was the one to save him, because she did love him. It is sad, she did love him. And this is 2 weeks in a row now of me predicting things. I predicted that Conrad would not, didn't properly like Ruby, which came about. So, and the Doctor's anger at the end when he's shouting at Conrad, it shows a side to Ncuti's Doctor that we haven't seen properly yet. Like, I get he was screaming at Sutek, but it's to be expected. This is anger on an actual human, which is very Tennant. I find, like, Matt Smith did it a few times, but Tennant did have anger with actual humans for problems, for things they've done. So that gave me big Tennant vibes. And it's revealed that Conrad is the man who told the Doctor about Belinda. If you remember back in the Robot Revolution, we find out the Doctor's like, well, somebody told me to watch out for you, so I came looking for you. And we were theorising, who could it be? Is it Mrs. Flood? Is it the Doctor himself? But no, it's Conrad who said it. I like a little mini surprise reveal. And Mrs. Flood is the governor, eh? Who's the governor? Now, yes, she's probably just talking about the fact that she's the governor of the prison. Yeah, whatever. Or governess. What did she say? Yeah, well, she said governor. I did some research, and the last governor that was in Who was in the End of Time, and the governor was protecting Harold Saxon. So, is Mrs. Flood protecting the Master? Who knows? Probably not. Let's be real. The Master's not here, but who knows? Overall, this episode was very split for me. I mean, the overall story was good, but it felt like the pacing was completely different to the other episodes. The other episodes I've been going, well, we need more. We need more to this to make this episode longer. Whereas this episode, I was like, make it shorter because there were so many bits that dragged on. But maybe that's a little nitpick of me. Overall, I think it was a very good episode. It was definitely above average. So I'm going to give Lucky Day a 4 out of 5. That's it. It's my lowest rank this series, but 4 out of 5 it is. On to the story and the engine. We open with this guy telling us a story about how he survived a village fire because the Doctor came along and saved him. A green light shows up validating his story, but then it goes red and everyone starts freaking out, and there's this terrible intro transition. I don't like this. The Doctor says to Belinda that they can boost the Vindicator's signal by going to Lagos, Nigeria. Whilst wandering around, Doc finds a sign that says turn back, and then there are loads of missing people signs. He arrives at Omo's palace, which is the barbershop from earlier. He realises that everyone inside the barbershop are the people from the missing people posters. Every time someone new comes through the door, the TARDIS goes all red and all alarmy. Abby comes in, and the Doctor says that he recognises her, but he cannot remember why. But it's obvious that she knows him and doesn't like him very much. We now find out that whoever is getting a trim has to tell a good story, so the Doctor decides to tell one. Oh my god, it's Mrs. Flood! He finishes his story and the light goes green. Belinda leaves the TARDIS and gets in trouble for dropping some stuff on the floor, blah blah blah, and the Doctor goes off at Omo for putting him at risk. He then opens the barbershop door and they all go flying into the abyss, but it's okay because he closes it again. Belinda arrives, and the barber reveals himself to be a load of different gods of stories. But Doc and Belle start laughing at him. They're proper laughing. Doc proves him wrong, and he finally admits that he's the one who gave the gods power. The Doctor then finds out that Abby was the daughter of a Nancy, and that he once had to marry her after losing a bet. They're reliving the memory and oh my god, flashbacks, PTSD. The barber says that he's going to cut all the gods from the web, and the Doctor says no, because it will harm humans, they need gods to live. Abby then goes to tell a story, and the Doctor and Belinda go for a run. And they arrive at the story engine. The pair start destroying the story engine, and then the Doctor says that his body's like a barbershop. I really don't understand this bit. His face just starts appearing on loads of screens as well. I'm a bit confused. Anyway, the barbershop door opens and they all go running out, and they're all friends. But who was the mystery child that Belinda saw earlier? Ooh, we don't know. And roll credits, guys. Okay, this is gonna be odd because I really dislike this episode. I really don't like it. Because, well, I don't dislike it. I just don't care for it. You know what I mean? In a series where we've had banger after banger after banger, I don't think this is a banger. I just want to get it out there straight away and say that it is nothing to do with the fact that it's set in Nigeria and that there's a lot of black people. Because I know the internet, right, they like to paint things like they do. My favourite thing about this episode was the fact it was set in Nigeria. And, you know, the whole, I've got it written here, the setting. I love the setting. So when the Doctor's walking around Nigeria and he's seeing all the people and he feels at home, that was my best bit. Then after that, it just became a podcast. It felt like a podcast. They were just sat in a barbershop the whole time, talking, and that was it. And I just felt a bit at the end like they talked for 40 minutes and then, hey, let's run down the corridor and smash up a machine. But hang on, I'm the Doctor. I've got loads of faces and yeah, right, bye. That was it. And I'm a bit let down. I must admit, I'm a bit let down. Now, obviously, my favourite series of Doctor Who is Series 10. And Series 10 had the Eaters of Light, which is one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. So there's obviously, you can't always expect great episodes. And just because this one episode has come about doesn't mean I automatically hate the series. It's just, this episode could have done so much with the premise of missing people. There's a barbershop. You have to tell stories to feed Anansi, the spider god, to traverse, and that makes the engine go to get them somewhere. But it's never explained what happens if you don't tell a good story. It's never explained what happens or like where they're trying to go. I just think it was wasted potential. And I think the reason I'm so disappointed is because I knew a lot of this premise. I knew there was Anansi. I knew this barber guy was somewhat evil. I just, in my head, had a better story than what we came out with. And all this footage of Anansi we'd already seen in trailers and things, and I just think that ruins it a tiny bit, because there was no reveal, there was no confrontation. Anansi didn't even really need to be there. Now, this review's going up a little bit later than normal because I've actually watched it twice. That's right, because I watched it the first time and was so confused and didn't really get it and was worried that I'd be missing something. I was like, well, I'm going to watch it again to try and gather it. I watched it again and I still don't properly understand. I don't understand why we're meant to care. I don't care about these characters at all. Omo seems like a nice guy, and again, just big wasted potential because I really feel like him and the Doctor could have had something better going on. I didn't like it too much. I've got deeper reasons which I'll get onto now, but if you have reasons, I'm going to say these reasons. If you have what's the word, like opposites, if you have answers to my questions, leave them below, because I'm all for getting proved wrong. If my issues with this episode are resolved and I'm just a bit thick and didn't realise, feel free to call me out, because I want to enjoy it, but I've seen it twice and I didn't enjoy it either times. But I do have written down that I really did like the setting of the episode. So, you know, 2019 was one of the best years going. I love 2019, one of my best years of my life. But the episode felt very static. It felt very similar, but I will say the barbershop looked cool. I've never been to Nigeria. I've never been to a Nigerian barbershop, so I don't know if they captured it realistically, but I think it looks cool for camera. So that's cool. The only issue with it being set in one place, which it was really, I suppose there were a few, you know, there's probably 5-10 minutes that weren't in the barbershop, but majority was in the barbershop. And I think the issue with it being in one place is it can impact the pacing, and I think it did here. It really impacted the moving throughout the episode. It just felt very, guys, we've arrived here, let's talk for half an hour, and then I'm going to run down this corridor, and then boom, and then save the day. You know what I mean? It just felt like a big dump. Like someone just dumped a load of information on us, and that's it. Let's talk about the Doctor and Omo. I felt like I feel such a negative Nancy saying all this stuff. I just felt it was quite rushed. Again, like I said, it had great potential, but like the Doctor at the start of the episode is like, and I like this, he's like, this is my first time being black, that he remembers, obviously. And he feels accepted in Nigeria, because in some places in the world, like we've seen in Lux and Dot and Bubble, he's rejected for his colour, but in Nigeria he's accepted, and I like that. That's a really good idea. But then 5 minutes later he's like, I thought I was, well, he's not American, but he was like, I thought I was accepted here, but no, I'm rejected. And I feel like it happened quite quickly, and all for what? Like, he went on a massive rant at Mo and was like, don't ever talk to me again. Why? Like, you can understand there's something bad happening here. But you've befriended people that have killed people and stayed with them. Like, Omo didn't do anything on that level. He just put you in a chair and was like, you've got to tell a story, otherwise we're all going to die. So I don't know why, it just felt very not doctory. Like when he was put in the barber chair and the barber put the I forgot like what it's called, the thing that goes around here to stop the hair, and it like stuck to him. It wasn't, the doctor would have gone, oh, I know this type of sheet, it's from da-da-da, and it does da-da-da. But he was like, no, let me go. And it just felt not very doctory. Like, I don't know, you can tell it, and no offence to the guy who wrote it, but you can tell it's not written by someone who's written Doctor Who before. For me, I've enjoyed Chibnall episodes better than this, which is a shame. It really is a shame to say. The barber was very underwhelming. He was like, I'm a Nancy, the god of spiders. I'm da-da-da, the god of da-da-da. And then the doctor was like, no, you're not, mate. And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a big reveal coming. I initially wrote on my notes, it was underwhelming, but it's fine because who's he going to be? And then we find out he's the guy who's set it all up or something. Like, it just, I don't know. I feel very disappointed. Very disappointed with this episode. But on the plus side, Jo Martin. It was great seeing Jo Martin back. I saw leaks online that she was meant to be in this series. But I didn't think it would happen. I didn't think we'd see Jo Martin. But we did. She was there, Jo Martin. Did you see her? Did you catch her? You should have. I cheered. I did a little cheer when I saw Jo Martin. If you don't know Jo Martin, she was from the 13th Doctor era. And she was the only good thing to come out of that era, in my opinion. Her acting as the Doctor was very, very good. And it was good to see her back. And she sort of teased that maybe her story will get revealed more later down the line, which we know this series, the Doctor's origin, gets explored more, which I'm not a big fan of, but whatever. But yeah, I like that, and it was good to see Jo back, even if it was for about 3 seconds. The ending, I'm a little bit confused about, like how the Doctor appeared on all the screens. Like, I don't know, it just felt a bit rough. I really feel like a downer. I feel really like a downer. I don't mean to be. I'm very sorry if you enjoyed this episode. Like, I don't want to say it's not for me, because on paper it is for me. This is something that I would love. This, I just feel like it was very. I'm just let down. I just feel let down, and I don't like being like this. I hate being negative about Doctor Who. I love it. Even throughout, Ruby's mum was nobody and she was just pointing at a street sign. Even throughout that, I tried to be a bit positive. I'm not even angry. Like with that, like a year on, I was quite angry that Ruby's mum was no one. With this, I'm not even angry. I'm just a bit like let down. I'm just a bit like, I just feel a bit disappointed. So I don't know. Let's just hope next week can redeem it. Again, I know I hate to be a downer, but more stuff. And Nancy was very disappointing, very underwhelming. We'd seen in the trailers, and Nancy's going to be in Doctor Who, guys, and then it gets to it, and Nancy barely gets a name drop and doesn't get any screen time at all outside of the trailers. There could have been so much used with it. There could have been the barber, right? My friend Jack Collins will do the podcast with. Barber, Barbinger. We could have done something like that, and that would have been a cool twist. And Nancy, and then Nancy's like, I'm a Nancy, the god of stories, and you must submit good stories. And the Doctor's like, well, what if I don't? Oh, well, if you don't, then this will happen. But there was nothing like that. I watched it with my mum, and I said to my mum, like, the cold open should have been somebody telling a bad story and then getting, like, ejected or killed or something. Because there was no threat of what happens if you don't tell a good enough story, it just, I don't know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And like, I knew Anansi beforehand because I'd seen the trailers, I'd done my own research, but my mum didn't know who Anansi was, and even after the episode, it wasn't really explained who Anansi was and what the whole plan was with Anansi. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, what are the chances as well that like, every episode this series has been the Doctor and Belinda, on their way home. What are the chances that everywhere they land, they find trouble? Like, what are the chances of that? But, the final thing I want to touch on is who is the child. Obviously, is that going to be one of those things that's just never explained, or is it important to the plot? My guess is that it's the timeless child, aka the Doctor. I had to do a little, my mum, we were watching it, and my mum hasn't seen the 13th Doctor era, so she didn't know who the fugitive Doctor was. She didn't know who Jo Martin was. I was just like, oh, it's Jo Martin. I had to explain to her, it's Jo Martin. Sorry, that's my thoughts. I've not got a lot of good to say, and I don't like being negative. If you're new here, I'm not a negative channel. I'm actually normally quite positive about Doctor Who, even through its dark times. But this, not a big fan. Very sorry. Is his name in sorry, I need to Google. I think it's Inwa Ellams is how you pronounce it. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I've just seen an article here from Radio Times saying that Inwa Ellams got advice from former showrunner Chris Chibnall, which probably explains this. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, and he had a lot of promise here, but weren't very good. Sorry. Overall, I can respect it, but it's not my favourite at all. It's not that good. I'm going to give the story and the engine a 2.5 out of 5, which is actually alright. That's 5 out of 10, 50%. Maybe that's too high. I might lower it. On better news, on to the Interstellar Song Contest. We open with Rylan getting brought back to life to present the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest. Doc and Belinda arrive and they cannot help but just say yes to the journey. Oh my god, it's Mrs. Flo! She's very happy about the Vindicator being in its final link. These two dons say that Belinda and the Doctor are sitting in their seats, so the security guard activates phase 1. Then Kid enters the main gallery. Kid hijacks the gallery and starts playing the dress rehearsal. Then Liz Lizardon from Liztown and Lizcadia starts performing, but Kid releases the air shield and everyone goes bloody flying in the air. Belinda cries, and then she meets Cora, who reveals that no one is coming. Susan! 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 And the Doctor confetti cannons back into the arena. Doc reveals that the floating people aren't dead, they're frozen. Kid and the Helions are planning on playing a signal through the TV that will kill all 3 trillion people watching. Oh look, it's Graham Norton. Cora reveals that she was in fact a Helion too and was forced to remove her horns. The Delta Wave is about to hit 100%, but then the Doctor arrives and he destroys the Delta Wave. He then orders for Rylan to be brought back to life with Gary's beam, and Gary then beams 100,000 people back into the arena. Cora finally performs her song, the Doctor and Belinda arrive on May 24th, and the TARDIS caves in. Mrs. Flood then reveals herself to be the Rani, she bigenerates, and roll credits. I'm actually out of breath. I'm recording this at 10:31, about an hour and a half after I've seen the episode, because I just needed to process everything that was going on inside that episode. It is mental. Before we get to the big reveals and theories, let's just talk overall plot. I think it was a very clever concept, you know, having a concert, I mean, let alone the Eurovision Song Contest, but having that and having somebody want to come along and ruin it for reasons that are completely okay. Like, you know, Kid was discriminated against because of his race. I think you can call it a race, can't you? Yeah, species. So he wanted to get back at the contest because the only thing that their planet's useful for is harvesting the poppy. By the way, Poppy honey. That's exactly what the Doctor calls Captain Poppy from Space Babies in Space Babies. Poppy goes, am I wrong? And the Doctor goes, oh, Poppy honey. But anyway, Juno Dawson wrote this amazingly. I hadn't seen any of her writing before, and I'd heard that there were some controversies around it, but who cares, man? It was a great episode of Doctor Who. Let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy it for what it is. And I really did enjoy it. Let's talk about Rylan as well. I loved Rylan. I loved his performance in this episode as the wonderful Rylan. He plays himself. And I knew he was going to be, what's the word? It's not cryogenically frozen, is it? Or something along those lines. But he was frozen. He was himself. You know, it wasn't a future descendant of Rylan. It actually was Rylan, and the teeth joke at the start was very funny, and the joke he cracks at the end where Belinda's like, you've been brought back to life, and he's like, oh, story of my life. However, initially I did have an issue with this episode, which I think at the end got redeemed. It was Kid's introduction felt very forced to me, you know, the way he just introduced himself as soon as he entered the gallery, you know. If I'm breaking in somewhere, you know, an attempt to hijack a big event, and they go, who are you? I'm not going to go, well, I'm Sam, I live here, I'm from this place, and I've come here to do this. You'd just keep you calm, you'd point guns and go, stop it, don't do anything or I'm going to shoot you, stuff like that. Not that I'd do that, but that's just, you know, you wouldn't just explain who you are. And as the episode went on, I just felt Kid was a bit forced, you know, oh, I'm only doing what you expect me to do. Toss off. But this did get redeemed at the end, because when Cora was singing her song, Kid looked like he was very upset with his actions, and he looked like he'd learned a lesson today. Obviously the Doctor tortured him, which I wasn't a big fan of, but I wasn't a big fan of it, but I was a big fan of it being in the episode. But obviously I don't agree with what the Doctor was doing. But Kid, at the start and throughout, I didn't like him very much, but at the end it makes me view, as if I watch this episode again, it will make me view his character in a different light, because Yeah, it was redeeming at the end. Belinda crying was very good. I like the fact that I think this is the first time we've seen her cry. She got close to tears when the Midnight Entity was on her back, but I believe this is the first time we've seen her crying, which is cool. So, yeah. And I love Belinda as a character so much. Like, as a companion, she is so good. Like, the way she called out the Doctor at the end is exactly what we need, in terms of a Doctor Who companion. We need somebody who can call out the Doctor when they go too far. Like Donna, that's one of the main reasons why people love Donna, is because, you know, she wasn't all lovey-dovey, bezzy mates like the Doctor and Ruby. It was like, you know, you've done something wrong. You need to fix this. You've done something, like, I don't like this. Stop it now. And I really was a big fan of the hard light glove from the hologram that the Doctor was using to repeatedly punch Kid. As much as I wasn't a fan of the punching, I was a fan of the hard light glove, and I did like it, yeah, very, very much. And I also just want to throw in my last thing before we get to the big stuff. The beams, you know, the bringing people back to life from ice with the beams was very, very good. This is an ultimate step up from last week, in my opinion. I love this episode so much. Okay, the big one, the first big one. Susan, actual Susan Foreman is in this episode.
Go back.
Oh my god! What? Wait! Oh my god! 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 Oh my god, I can cry! What the Oh my god, I could cry. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. If you watch my podcast or you've watched this channel for the year it's been going, you know I'm a big advocate for getting Susan back in Doctor Who, because she was the first ever companion and she's still alive. You know, it's the perfect thing. I always said at the end of Empire of Death, Doctor should have seen Ruby and her mum get it, like, you know, hugging and going, oh, I want that. And then he goes and finds Susan. That would have been so good. But I cannot dwell on that anymore because she is in this episode. She cameos and she's like, stop, Doctor. Grandfather, come get me. Oh, God, it actually makes me sad just thinking about it. Oh, God, I love it so much. I love it so much. I'm so happy she's back. I was a massive Classic Who fan when I was younger. And, like, as much as Susan wasn't, like, a great companion, she started it all. And hearing the words grandfather is just... Oh god, it's so... it makes me feel so good inside. Let's talk about the Rani. The Rani is also back. This is something that, again, if you've seen my podcast, you'll know. I really didn't think this would happen, you know. It's very predictable. But it was predictable, so therefore unpredictable. Because in my head, I thought there's no way Russell will do it. It's so predictable. But he did it, and you know what? I'm not mad. I was a little bit... Here's my reaction. Let me show you my reaction.
Lethal for a time, lady.
It's not the Rani, is it? Is that the Rani?
The name is the Rani. Yes, ma'am.
You can see I'm not as like, what? No, what? Because it just felt like everybody guessed this within the first week of Mrs. Flood. When she was announced, or not announced, but when she was revealed to be something maybe a bit more, on 2020, what am I on about? In the 2023 Christmas special, you know, at like 6 p.m. on Christmas Day 2023, Mrs. Flood, we all went, okay, she's somebody. Within an hour, there were videos on the internet saying she's the Rani. So to me, it just sort of felt like we'd already known that. But it's not about the reveal. It's about how the character acts in the new episode. So all we've got to do is look forward to Wish Wealth. I mean, there's no trailer, so my trailer breakdown this week is going to be very, very odd. I'm yet to see Unleashed. I'm sure there's a trailer in there. But yeah, the reveal wasn't as wow that I thought it would be. But it is also, like I've just said, not about the reveal. You know, we had the reveal of Susan, which made me go, wow. So this, I'm okay for this to just be, the Rani's back. Let's see what badass thing the Rani's doing this week. I also have theories, alright? So, you know Sacha Dhawan, or I think that's how you say his name, the master from Jodie's run, there was theories that he came before Missy, which I really am a big fan of, because Missy ended perfectly in The Doctor Falls. I've got a theory that the master the Toymaker faced was Missy. And this episode, this next 2 episodes, the unholy trinity, which we know are happening, is going to be Mrs. Flood, the Rani, and Missy. Those are going to be the unholy trinity. And I think in the end, you know, this is going to take place for Missy before the Doctor falls, before Series 10, which, you know, that was 8 years ago, so I don't know if Michelle Gomez has aged. I don't really know what she looks like now. She was at the premiere, which is another reason why I think this is going to happen, because she was at the premiere, and you know, Susan Foreman was at the 60th premiere, and she wasn't in it. Yeah, but Joe Martin was at the premiere, and Joe Martin was in it, so... And Susan technically is in it this time. You know, Susan, Carol Ann Ford knew she was going to be in it when the 60th was happening, I'm sure. So... I think Michelle Gomez, keep an eye on her. And I'd love if at the end, you know, the Doctor says something like, Missy, you're about to face something incredible. And then Series 10 takes place. If you know me, you know Series 10 is my favourite piece of television I've ever seen in my entire life. Series 10 of Doctor Who, I could ramble for days about how good it is, why I love it, and I feel like not enough people have seen it. It was sort of when people started to dip out of Doctor Who, which I don't get why, because in my opinion it's the best written series of Doctor Who we've ever had. So if you haven't seen Series 10, go and watch Series 10. And also, if you haven't seen The Rani before, go and watch Time in the Rani in Series 24. One of my favourite classic Doctor Who stories ever. So I am glad The Rani's back. I know it sounds like I'm being ungrateful. I'm really glad. I just thought in my head when we found out that she was going to be in this episode, the Interstellar Song Contest, and when Russell was like, don't spoil who the winner is, I thought maybe Mrs. Flood would be an act, and she would come out and she'd start singing like, anyone can fall in love, and then she'd be like, I'm Mrs. Flood, and then she'd reveal, but it didn't happen. Look, it's fine. I'm not disappointed because we've got Susan, and I do like the Rani, and I'm glad the Rani's back. It sounds like I'm being a bit ungrateful. I'm not, I promise you. I'm really excited for this, and yeah, I'm very, very excited. Let me know your theories on Mrs. Flood, the Rani, the lot in the comments below, please. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, reveals aside, I love this episode, and I really do think it's going to go down in the history books as one that I come back and rewatch quite often. Probably. I can see myself, like when I was a kid, I used to love Series 4, and I'd rewatch Turn Left, and I'd see, you know, the Rose reveal, and it would be going into the finale, and I'd think, oh yeah, cool, let me watch that again to get the hype, and I could see myself doing this again. And I hope there's a new generation of kids who have that with Doctor Who as well. I really feel like it's dying out, but I have faith that there's a new generation out there that love this show as much as I did when I was younger. On to Wish World! We open 160 years away where the Rani nicks this baby off the family and the baby turns the whole family into weird creatures. The Doctor and Belinda then wake up as a married couple, and everyone's favourite character, Poppy from Space Babies, enters, and Conrad is pulling a Saxon on the telly. Conrad starts reading a chapter of a Doctor Who book in the actual episode. Ruby then rocks up at the door and says that they're living in a simulation. Now look, it's Mel. The Doctor arrives at Unit where he works. Oh my god, it's Susan Twist! The Doctor says that Colonel Sexy looks, well, sexy, and he gets told off. Poppy's aunties arrive, and Belinda starts to doubt this fake world, so the cups start smashing. The Rani then arrives at Wish World Tower. Mrs. Flood delivers a sandwich to Conrad as they admire the child. Ruby goes and meets the disabled lot as they make a pact to take down Conrad. The Doctor's chilling watching telly when Rogue comes on and says tables don't do that. Belinda then snitches on him and they both get taken away. They both enter Wish World and meet the Rani. The Rani cracks the Doctor and he remembers. The Rani reveals that the baby is God of Wishes, and that the lost one is coming, and the lost one is Omega. The Doctor falls, to be continued, roll credits. Okay, so what an episode that was. That was it was very, whoa, like there was a lot to take in that one, and I liked seeing Wish World, because we'd seen Wish World, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, in Lie of the Land. This very much felt like Lie of the Land 2. If you haven't seen Lie of the Land from Series 10, basically they're these monks, and Bill, the companion, hands over the world to the monks by mistake. Well, she does it on purpose, but she has to. Doctor's blind. It's a long story. She hands over the world to the monks, and if someone doubts, then like a SWAT team turns over their house and takes them away. The monks take over the world. If someone doubts that the world was different before, they get taken away. So it is very, very similar. And I do have to say, I think I do prefer the Lie of the Land. And in the Lie of the Land, the Doctor is faking out everyone. He's like, he knows it's not real, but he's like pretending he doesn't know. I thought that would be the same for this, but it's not. So it is slightly different. And I must admit, the set design looks amazing with the bones And, the big dinosaurs. Why are there big dinosaurs? Don't know. You know what I mean? There's so many things that are unanswered. The only reason I can say that that's not a bad thing is because this is a part 1 of a part 2. So coming next week, we will find out the answers to all these questions. But, like, why is the Rani doing this? Why is the Rani taken Conrad and made this world? Okay, sure, Omega can come through, but why does she want Omega to come through, Speaking of Omega, I just know for a fact that Confused Adipose is going mad right now. He's been begging for Omega to come back for the longest time. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that Omega's back alongside this baby being the God of Wishes, because, hear me out, right? So the God of Wishes thing, the baby thing, they posted that knowing full well everyone would go, that's Ruby, and the Rani's Ruby's mum. We did that. I did that especially. I really thought that would happen. So I was originally a bit let down that it wasn't Ruby. But it's the God of Wishes. It could be Ruby still. Who knows? All hell could break loose next week. And next week it doesn't even air in the morning. It airs at night time. So, anyway, irrelevant. I like that the baby isn't like some mad god pantheon member that we've heard of before, and it's just a new one, God of Wishes, as a baby. But then I thought, Russell's been bigging this up, like, that's not very exciting, but then Omega, so it does make sense. I'm very, very excited. We saw a little glimpse of Susan again. I think it's just a clip from last week, but the only reason I put this here is because I think this pretty much confirms she's going to be in the finale, which is good. I was doubting it, but I think this confirms it. And of course, my boy Rogue showed up, which is exciting. I love Jonathan Groff, and I was a big fan of Rogue last year. It was my favourite episode from Series 14, Rogue. So it was good to see Rogue again.
Weak, Doctor. This held him, and I have to warn you. I can only send you one warning, and this is gonna...
I hope we get to see a little glimpse of him at the end, maybe. There's a lot going on, but... Maybe. And Belinda's betrayal was heartbreaking. When she had to snitch on the doctor, and like seeing her, because she didn't want to, but she was doing it to protect Poppy, and then the whole Poppy's not real, and she got really upset. I felt for Belinda. I did. She's my girl, man. I felt for her. I really do think Belinda I prefer to Ruby 100%. But not to say I don't love Ruby. I do love Ruby, but Belinda, you've won my heart. I like the Rani, like, breaking the doctor, making him remember when she's like dancing with him, and she's like, we danced like this once upon a time. Do you remember? Everyone said we were married. Do you remember those speculations? And that Russell said we play on the doctor's relationship with the Rani. Is that it? Or are they brother and sister? Or are they both? That'd be quite weird, but they could be both. Time Lords and that, they're pretty weird folk. I'm also a big fan of the... I know I said it in my synopsis, and when I was writing it, I was like, this sounds a bit odd, but the disabled people... Well, the disabled people's fine. What did I write? Disabled lot, which is what Conrad referred to them as. I think... The fact that, we've seen in Lucky Day that he's not a very nice man and he doesn't like disabled people, to see them then be shunned away in this makes total sense. And I'm a big fan of the continuity in that. Obviously, I don't believe that as well. I don't want that to happen. But I like the fact that it happened in the episode, and the episode stayed consistent with what had happened before. One of my it'll be my golden moment on this week's podcast with Jack Collins is when the Rani said to Belinda, your husband's an alien and so am I. I just found it quite funny. It made me laugh. She's like, I love saying this bit. I must say Archie Panjabi absolutely killed it as the Rani. I totally believed her. This could have been Kate, I'm so sorry I forgot her name, Kate somebody, who played, Kate, is it Kate O'Mara? I don't know, sorry. She played the original Rani back in the 70s and 80s, or 80s, and I'm a big fan of the Rani as a character. I think her stories very much get swept under the rug. I think she's very, very good. And people tend to say the stories aren't very great, but I like them, man. Time in the Rani's a banger. However, a downside I have to this episode, there's very much a lot of telling and not showing. You know what I mean? Very Chibnall. There wasn't a lot. It was just like, let's go to this room and chat, then this room and chat, then this room and chat, and this room and chat. And there's a lot of that this series, which, isn't terrible. But I just think the Rani, literally, the final 10 minutes is the Rani going, Doctor, I'm the Rani, and this is Mrs. Flood, but also the Rani, and Omega is back, and this is Conrad, and this is the God of Wishes, and this is the Wishwell clock, and it's almost May 24th. This is Belinda. Poppy's not real. You know what I mean? It just felt like, could have woven it into the story a bit more. Maybe have Poppy disappear in Belinda's arms, like in Good Man Goes to War, or maybe Belinda did disappear, but not in front of the Doctor, so, I don't know, or maybe at the end take Belinda and the Doctor out, and just throw Belinda off, and Belinda's like, no, and the Doctor's like, Belinda, and then that's it. I don't know, but, an up, what my Who culture. A thing I liked about this episode the most was Murray Gold's music scores. He is great with it when he does his whole, I did it in my my trailer breakdown, the whole Rani's theme, where it's like, That one. It sounds sick, man. Murray Gold, man. He kills the music every single time. Yeah, he's a gem of a bloke, Murray Gold. Top guy. But yeah, Omega's back. That's obviously a bonus. You know, I love seeing Omega. He's not been around for a very, very, very long time. Like I say, Confused Adipose is going to be going mad. I am upset that it's not the Trickster. I really, really had my hopes up for the Trickster. I just feel like it all felt like it fitted in so well, but it's not Trickster. It's Omega, which if you saw the leaks on Twitter, which I managed to avoid until last night, yeah, I sort of saw it coming. But I did have hope for Trickster also. I had hope for Trickster last year, even when I saw a picture of Sutek the dog. I don't know. Look, I'm still looking forward to this series finale. Like, it is looking incredible. Very, very excited. Very, very excited. Something I picked up on the end. The doctor goes, "But don't you see? I am Poppy's dad. This is real." Something like that. Something along those lines. What's that about? What do you mean? What do you mean Poppy's real? She's not real, is she? Don't make this canon. Poppy the space baby. Go back to the space baby ship. She just cameoed in this, right? She's not important, right? Right? And like I said at the start, I'm upset that baby Ruby wasn't the baby, but that's me speculating. But it's also down to them knobs who posted that picture. What else are we meant to believe? Her dad's still important. I've been saying this whole time. Her dad is important. I know he is. Anyway, I actually really did like this episode. Like I said, it was just a lot of sitting down and talking, but it's more talking and like more explanatory than the story in the engine. I'm gonna give Wish World a 4.6 out of 5 for me. Very, very liked it very, very much. On to the reality war. We open with the Doctor falling. But look, it's Anita, he's saved. Anita keeps the Time Hotel doors open into Wish World, which lets reality bleed through. The Doctor and Belinda actually have a child together. Doc and Ruby reunite. Aww. The Rani and Mel reunite. Aww. The Doctor sticks Belinda and Poppy in a box because it makes total sense for the story and is not because it's a rewrite. The Doctor sky segues to the Bone Palace where he finds the creature that definitely isn't Omega. Rani gets eaten, another Rani runs away. Wow, the Doctor is stuck. How is he going to get out of this? Oh, remember that device that helps them get back to Earth? Well, that's a laser now. Ruby's about to be shot, but she wishes for Conrad to be happy, so he disappears. Doc gives the wish baby to Carla because she's a good mum. And the new parents, Doc and Belinda, are getting used to their baby, but then she fades out of existence and no one remembers her besides Ruby. Ruby gives a whole, "Doctor, she's not real, but that doesn't matter. You save everyone no matter what. I'm Ruby from Tameside." And so he goes off to fix the crack by using his regen energy. Guys, I'm really loving this episode. Oh, why are you here? We just got rid of you. What are you doing? Jokes aside, I quite liked her in this episode. The world is set back to normal. Poppy is Belinda's daughter and she is 100% human now. Ncuti waves to Joy and then dies. Oh look, it's the big bad wolf. And roll credits. I am just absolutely amazed and shocked. I cannot believe what I've just watched. Like, I'm genuinely in shock. So much has happened. We said, spoilers by the way, spoilers going ahead. We said goodbye to Ncuti. We reunited with Anita. We didn't see Susan. The Doctor and Ruby reunite. Omega was there for a little bit. The 13th Doctor was there. Billie Piper. Where there's tears, there's hope. I'm so happy. I think this really hit. It really did. First of all, I'm just going to say something out of the blue that I just really didn't like. I didn't like how Omega was... Oh, big Omega. We're bringing Omega back. And then Omega came back for about 30 seconds and then just got shot by a Vindicator and oh no, dead. He looks really cool though. I will admit, Omega looks really, really cool. I didn't think they'd be able to nail him, but they did nail him. He looked very, very good. But he was destroyed way too easily. But the Rani is still out there. Mrs. Flood as the Rani is still out there. And the boss. Alright, Anita said to the Doctor, they said hello by the way. Who did? The boss. So, what's going on there? Is it another Time Lord? You know, the boss is quite a Time Lordy name, but it won't be Ncuti facing the boss. And that makes me so sad. It makes me so sad that he's gone. Say what you like about Ncuti Gatwa, but he has been an incredible Doctor, and I honestly have loved every second that he's been on the screen, and he has definitely gone too early, and I'm really upset about that. Something else I really, really disliked about the episode, where is Susan? I was waiting for Susan the whole time. When he landed in the garden, I was like, oh my god, it's going to be Susan's garden. Then, or when he went to regenerate and he was like, I don't want to do this alone, I was like, Susan's going to come in. There was no Susan. What do you mean there was no Susan? Enough of the negative, though. I'm just going to... I haven't even made notes. Like, I couldn't even make notes when I was watching it. I was so invested. I was eating my popcorn. I was watching it. I'm just amazed. So, opening with... We learn that Wishworld is a Groundhog Day that constantly lives the same world over and over again, so it gets thinner and thinner. This is important, the thinner and thinner bit. The Doctor's falling, and then he gets caught by Anita. It was really cool seeing Anita back. There were theories that Mrs. Flood is Anita. This explains why Moffat had to read the finale script, which, you know, now makes a lot more sense than it did last week. Yeah, Anita was brilliant. She's always been brilliant. I loved Anita in Joy to the World. I mean, Joy got a little cameo at the end, the big star. That was nice. But yeah, Anita's back, and she is up the duff, which I don't think was relevant. I'm not really sure why they mentioned that. I don't know. I'm assuming the actor's probably up the duff in real life, and they had to fit it in somehow, maybe. And when Anita opens the doors to the Time Hotel, which lets reality bleed through, that's a really cool concept, I thought. Like, the reality bleeding through the Time Hotel. Really, really cool. Really, really cool. I think it's definitely a way... That's one of Russell's smarter ways of ending a finale, or getting his way out of a cliffhanger. Look at, for example, Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel with David Tennant, right? That episode ends with the Doctor being cornered by Cybermen and going, no, don't kill me, and then the Cybermen goes, delete, and then that's the end. And then in the first 3 seconds of the next episode, the Doctor just brings out like the Sonic or the little crystal thing from the TARDIS, and it just kills them all. And it's just like, oh great, we waited a whole week for that. Yeah, okay, essentially in this, yeah, Anita saved him, whatever. But the way they got out of the whole situation being that if you keep that door open, reality bleeds through. So cool. So cool. And Anita was the perfect person to do this. And, you know, she was like, I've been looking for you. All these years I've been looking for you. So cool. And so, it gets you there, man. It gets you there. Because he left her. He did. He left her. And everyone said we wanted to see more of her. Although she did just keep saying, I'm just hotel staff. Which is a bit odd. Hello, unit. The reality's bleeding through. Oh, look. Rose is back because Conrad couldn't even comprehend the thought of a trans person in his head. So, you know, Rose never existed. So Rosalita, whatever he calls her, is back, and yeah, I liked it. But my favourite part of the whole episode, this is going to seem so stupid to anyone who doesn't get it. My favourite part of this whole episode was when the Doctor introduces Unit to Belinda and Poppy, and Murray Gold plays the amazing Where There's Tears There's Hope, which is my favourite song in all of Doctor Who, my favourite piece of music that's ever been made, and it never got released. Murray Gold is like one of the only few songs, it was in the Series 10 soundtrack, it just never got released. I learned to play it on piano. I can play it now. I'm going to play it for you on piano now. Right, you ready? It goes on, but I'll leave you there. Oh god, I just pressed all the keys. But when I heard that, oh my god, like, it was such a weird feeling because it's one of those things you just never ever expect to hear again ever. And oh man, I love that piece of music so much. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it is, but oh man, it was so good. That's my golden moment. Like, I just love it. I seem so stupid to anyone who has no idea what's going on. I love that piece of music. You gotta understand, Series 10 is my favourite. I love Capaldi. I love his wise words, and that was when he was dying, that song played, and it was really, really cool. And then the Rani comes along and she confronts Mel again and is like, oh, we meet again. I hate that line, right? I write scripts myself. I never ever write the line, we meet again. I think it is the most cringy line ever, but it comes from Mel, so I can accept it. But yeah, Mel's like, oh, we meet again, Rani, whatever. And the Rani does a lot of exposition again. I didn't mind it. There was a lot, obviously, I just want to put this in. I watched the episode about 40 minutes ago, you know, and this was at the start, so it's been about an hour and 50 minutes, nearly 2 hours since the episode started. And I just want to say, if I don't remember everything, I'm sorry, but this is just I need to get this review out now. But she mentions about the blast from the Timeless Children, and that somehow has something to do with regeneration, or sorry, biogeneration, whatever. I'm not a big fan. Like, Archie Punjabi does nothing against Archie Punjabi, but the actual Rani character in this, I wasn't a big fan of, which I think you're meant to feel. And I'm glad she got eaten by Omega later on, and I'm glad that Mrs. Flood is still out there. It gives us an ongoing villain that we could maybe come back to in a few years. if we last that long, because the ending says otherwise to me, but I don't know. Anyway, look, I'm going to stay positive for now. So the Rani and Mel, they're confronting each other, and I think it is quite cool, the tension, even though Mel does sort of remember the Rani. I mean, you think about me every night before you go to bed. The Rani isn't that bad. You know, after everything that Mel faced with the 6th and 7th Doctor, the Rani isn't that bad. You know, she's just sort of a woman who just has a plan with science and then kills a few people along the way. Like, after everything they've faced, she's not that bad. I must say I really was losing it during this episode when we found out that Poppy is real, and when the Doctor kept saying, "This is mine and Belinda's daughter, Poppy," I kept thinking, what, like, don't make this, I've just whacked the mouse, but don't make this canon. This cannot be, like, Poppy is, she can't be a Time Lord, like, this, I don't want the Doctor to have a child with this companion that they're platonically friends with. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The Doctor and Belinda were purely just friends, and I didn't like the fact they had this kid. And luckily it did get retconned in an amazing way. I think the retcon for this was incredible. And this whole week we've been thinking, what's inside the vault on floor -10? And it turns out Belinda and Poppy are in there. Unit and the Doctor, they put Belinda and Poppy, well, they were just going to put Poppy in, but they put Belinda and Poppy in the vault, and Ruby kissed the wish baby and wished for Conrad to be happy, which then erased him from time and erased the wish world, bringing it all crashing back down. And if this was just a normal episode, this would be the climax. However, this is where they go and check the vault and find Belinda in the vault. But also Poppy's there as well. I like the way they did that. They made us think it was just Belinda, but Poppy was there as well. And then we're in the TARDIS and everyone's like, "Ooh, Belinda, love." No, that's Mrs. Flood. But they're in the TARDIS and it's Ruby and the Doctor and Belinda, and they're like, "Oh, Poppy, she's going to be great." And then the heartbreaking scene where Belinda keeps passing the Doctor, and the Doctor, they pass back and forth. Is it Poppy's little, like, is it like a cardi sort of thing? And it keeps getting thinner and thinner. And that's the memory fading out, getting thinner and thinner. And then we look, and Poppy is gone. And Belinda doesn't remember. The Doctor pretends he doesn't remember, but he does remember. And Ruby somehow remembers. Like, I'm guessing it's to do with 73 yards. And I'm guessing it's not going to be explained, but maybe in future series it'll be explained. And Ruby's like, "You guys are all mad, you don't remember Poppy. Poppy, the Doctor and Belinda's daughter. Poppy, you don't remember her." And it's really great that she changes his mind and goes, "You don't leave anyone. You saved me when I went out of existence. You saved Belinda when she went out of existence. You don't leave anyone." And that is such great. And also, I forgot to mention earlier, with Conrad forgetting everything, no, sorry, not forgetting everything, getting, like, wish to be happy. That is such great character development from Ruby, because I don't think Series 1 Ruby would have done that. And I also think the Doctor has rubbed off on her a bit and has made her be more, you know, this is something I feel Doctor Who's been lacking. The Doctor has always been, we don't side. We don't side with people. We don't go, "You're bad, you're good." We give everyone the best possible opportunity, the best possible outcome at the end. And he needed that knocking in from Ruby. It's like a not paradox loop, like a bootstrap paradox. You know, the Doctor makes Ruby feel this way, and then Ruby makes the Doctor feel this way. It comes full circle, and I really did like that. I was a bit annoyed we're not bringing Poppy back. Please don't bring Poppy back. I really hope Poppy gets forgotten, and it was a nice little thing for us, the audience, but it's not canon. She's not a Time Lord. What does that mean? And that did happen in the end. Obviously, Poppy is now just Belinda's daughter, which we'll get to. The Doctor's in the TARDIS. Oh, hang on, yeah, before all this, I want to touch on Omega just quickly. Omega's there. Hi, Omega. Not a great design, in my opinion, for old fans. For new fans, it looks very, very cool, but for old fans, I was really hoping we'd see him with the mask, which we didn't. And he was destroyed very easily. I think that was sort of a good explanation of he's very weak because he's become his own, like, ancient god in his head, because he's so old now, he is very frail, which I like. He was destroyed very, very easily. I would have liked if he'd have escaped, but he didn't. I don't know who voiced him. I didn't check at the end. But you did a good job if you're watching this, which you're not. The Doctor gives a little baby Des, who's the wish baby, to Carla, and says, like, "Oh, this baby needed a mother. Who's the best mother I could think of?" And it was Carla. And I thought that was really, really special. And I feel like it does really praise foster parents a lot, because they do, like, as much as it sounds quite horrible, raising a kid that isn't your own sounds like it could be a struggle, but Carla's done it hundreds of times, well, not hundreds, but she's done it loads of times, and she's raised Miss Ruby Sunday to be this lovely person, and it really, I like the fact that they took baby Des to Carla. I think it's really good, and Cherry, obviously, I'm forgetting Cherry was there as well, good old Cherry Sunday, and I do feel like this is the end of them now, which I thought last year, but I didn't know they were going to be in this series. Now, I think this might be the end of the Sundays, and that makes me sad, because I really like the Sundays, you know, they were great, they're really great. Just touching on something earlier as well, the Rani, Mrs. Flood revealing herself to Ruby and Belinda. I was really annoyed we were robbed of that last week, but we got it this week, and I'm really happy with that because I'd been missing that. I've been missing the big reveal, the big shock. So I'm glad that happened. This episode has made me treat the last episode and the end of the Interstellar Song Contest way better than I'd treated it already. You know, now I can respect that's a really good setup for it. I'm very happy. Anyway, Ruby goes, Doctor, you don't leave anyone behind. This isn't what you do. And the Doctor's like, right, I need to put all this regeneration energy into the time vortex and it'll bring back Poppy, bring back the real world. Oh yeah, that was it. There's a crack in time. And the Doctor's like, oh, because remember in the first episode when Belinda's like, go get Alan. And it's like, what's this? It comes full circle. That crack was caused by something. I don't really remember. I can't really lie. I've just watched the episode. But the Doctor uses the regeneration energy to fill that, bring life back to what it normally is. And it's revealed Belinda has always been wanting to get home to see Poppy. She wants to get home to see Poppy. That's what May the 24th has always been. It's about her getting home to her daughter. And we find this out in the most amazing way. And the Doctor speaks to Poppy. Something I didn't like. Poppy, I can't have kids. You can have kids. You literally say to Donna, I've been a father before. You also say, I've got a granddaughter called Susan, which you do. We've seen her. So, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that was another thing I didn't like about the Rani. She was like, Time Lords, we can't reproduce. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Otherwise, how are you a race? How does that work? I don't know. But the ending was amazing. I loved it. I do think Ncuti's regeneration could have been better, though. He didn't really have much of a speech, and he just sort of went. Oh, and Jodie was there. Forgot to mention that. Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, showed up. Now, my mum hasn't really seen the 13th Doctor era. I think she's seen a few episodes when it started. And she's very much on the thing of, like, Jodie's a great actor. Jodie in Doctor Who is terrible. I'll stand by that to this day. However, I think after her era, she's taken a lot of the criticism on her shoulders. I went fair play, because everybody hates on her. So she's got to be very strong, and she's still smiling, and she still treats Doctor Who when she talks about it in such a great way. And I really do respect that, and I have no problem with Jodie. The 13th Doctor, I want to smash her head into a wall with a brick. She is so unlikable, so contradictive, and so annoying. But in this episode, she's very much the Doctor. I believe that's the Doctor. Why is she always out of breath? That's something that annoys. She's always out of breath, Jodie Whittaker. She's always like, guys, right, we've landed in this new spaceship, and I don't know what we're gonna do. And it's just like, shut up. She wasn't out of breath this time. Anyway, yeah, weird little cameo. The Doctor saves the day. Belinda's at home. He doesn't say bye to Ruby, which upsets me a bit, because, Ruby Sunday is literally your first companion in this body. So, should have said bye. He didn't. He's like, oh, I'm regenerating, but never alone. Opens the door, and then it's Joy, the star. And I think that's quite a nice touch. Because Joy to the World, I'm not going to lie, didn't like very much. Wasn't a big fan of the episode. But after this episode, again, I can go back now and watch Joy to the World and think, this is much more, I like this a lot more. And then the moment comes, Gatwa regenerates. And it's a big beam of regeneration. It's a massive one. It's not just the normal standalone yellow LED strips coming out of the arms and the head and the legs. It was the full blast. Is it showing off the Disney budget? Yeah, probably. But also, he did suck all of his regeneration energy into this vortex, so it does make sense. And then we get the big one. Billie Piper. Billie Piper is the next Doctor. I don't know. Look, on the one hand, I'm really, really happy. It's so lovely to see Billie back in Doctor Who after, get this, 12 years. She was in the 50th as the moment. But forgetting that, is Billie Piper's first time in Doctor Who in 16 years. 16 years. People doing their GCSEs right now weren't born when Billie Piper was last in Doctor Who. So on one hand, it's really lovely to see her back in the show. On the other hand, and this is the one I'm sort of playing with a bit more, and the boat I'm in more, we need to move forward. Like, we're just sticking with the same old cast. Oh, by the way, a quote I did like when Ncuti was like, oh, it's you. I'm glad you're not the other guy. He always shows up. That was really funny. But going back to it, it just feels like we're stuck in this loop of Russell T Davies, bringing back people. And it made sense for Tennant. A lot of people say that David Tennant shouldn't have come back for the 60th, but my argument was it was the 60th. The 60th anniversary of this great show, which has brought up kids for generations. Let's bring David Tennant back. Sure. This is just an average Saturday night in the middle of May in 2025. Why is Billie Piper back? You know, why is Billie Piper back? On the other hand, she's not playing Rose, she's not playing the moment, she's playing the Doctor. So I'd like to see where this takes her. My only thing about this that I'm thinking is, right, A, she's back. Does this mean there's a Christmas special that Russell knows about that's being filmed or has been filmed and we haven't been told? Please. Or B, is it going to be a fake out regeneration? It's going to cut to the start of the next episode and it's going to be like, oh, I'm this body? What? And it phases and it's a new Doctor. And it's just a little comedic thing. Or maybe she's in a comic relief. I'll tell you what. No, I like that. That's my theory from going on now. Billie Piper is the Doctor for a comic relief special. And then she regenerates again. And then it's going to be the next Doctor. That's my theory. Please let that be true. I'd be happy with that. Although it would mess up the lore a little bit. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. It should have just faded to Black Man. Well, I don't like this. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of Billie Piper as the Doctor. Nothing against her. Just she's known for being Rose and the moment. Don't make her the Doctor. But they've done it. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens. My final thing on this is going to be talking about the war between the land and the sea. Just quickly. The Sea Devils are my favourite classic villain. What have they done to the Sea Devils? Look at them. They're fish. They're sexy fish. Just a woman. It's just whacked you. It's just a woman in like a fish mask. You know, that's not a sea devil. It's not a sea devil. I must admit, I'm not as hyped for the war between the land and the sea because of this sea devil BS. Maybe I'll grow to it. I don't know. But anyway, that's been my season 2 ranking. If you're watching this in the full video, I will do a little tier list next. If you're just watching this on its own, thank you for being with me on this journey. My channel has grown massively in the past 8 weeks of Doctor Who. I went from being on 320 subscribers on the 12th of April with the Robot Revolution to now on the 31st of May being on 750. That's incredible. That is really, really great. And I've loved doing this 5 videos a week for the past 8 weeks. It's not completely over yet. I've still got a podcast coming out tomorrow. Well, it'll probably be Monday with Jack Collins, where we talk about our final thoughts on this series. And I've got a video coming out next Saturday where all of the season 2 episodes will be bundled into one long video. It's looking to be about 2 hours. And now that Ncuti's gone, the week after, there'll be a long 4-hour video of every Ncuti episode ranked. So look forward to that. If I can be bothered to edit it. It might be a bit later. I need a little bit of a break. I've been going absolutely ham on this channel. So just let me have a few days to eat some toast, rest a little bit, and we'll return bigger and better than ever. But anyway, I'm talking about it in a few weeks. For now, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to rate the Reality War a 9 out of 10, which I never do. 4 out of 5, that seems less. 4.7 out of 5. 4.7 out of 5 for the Reality War. Very, very, very good episode of a very, very, very good series. It was better than Empire of Death. And I'm happy. I'm very sad that Ncuti's gone though. Rest in peace, my king. The 15th Doctor will always be one of my favourites. Sad times. But let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. If you want to leave a like and subscribe again, it means the absolute world. You can leave a super thanks. You can, get shouted out in the next video, whenever that may be. But thank you so much for watching. Have a good night's rest now. You've earned it. You've earned it. And yeah, goodbye. Farewell. Bah. Turn this light off. It's bloody boiling. Okay, it's that time of the video essay again, where we come together at the end for the final ranking. Now, the good thing about this, right, is every single episode that I've ranked so far in the series has been off my initial reaction. It's always been straight after I've watched the episode, I straight away give it a review, give it a ranking within the hour after I've watched it. Whereas now, I've sat on all of these for at least a week now, and I can finally give my full proper ranking without being blinded by the new stuff. So, let's just begin straight away with the Robot Revolution, which is, I actually think is a very good episode. It got very, very slept on. I'm not gonna lie, it got very, very slept on. People were saying that it wasn't a great opener. People were saying that Space Babies is better. Maybe I agree, because as you know, I'm not a big Space Babies hater. I quite like Space Babies. I think it's a very good opener and it does its job very, very well. It was just the CGI babies. If they'd have changed them, the whole thing would be remembered differently. But yeah, Space Babies I loved. This is the Space Babies. This is the Robot Revolution. I don't know which one I prefer. I don't think they need to be compared. I know they're both series openers, but I don't think like they need to be compared. And for this, again, this did its job. It introduced us to Belinda, who was very, very strong in this episode. I think this was probably Varida's strongest performance in the whole series, which was her first episode. Where to rank it? I mean, S tier, I don't think it can go there. I don't think it can go in S tier. I just don't think I can do that with a straight face. It's not the worst of the series. We'll find out what my worst. Well, you probably know if you've just watched the whole thing. But the Rogue Revolution, I'll put it in B. Is B too low? No, I'll put it in B. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I don't hate it. I don't not hate it. I just like it, and I think it did its job. And I cannot believe it was 9 weeks ago already. Like, it flies by. But yeah, the Robot Revolution going straight in at number B, which is a letter, not number. Then we bring in this bad boy, Lux. Now, if you know this channel and you've watched this video, you know for a fact that Lux is my favourite episode of the series. I think it is the strongest, most catchy, most I've felt immersed in a Doctor Who episode in a long time. Lux is going straight into S tier. There is no other option in my head of where Lux needs to go. Like, it is the perfect Doctor Who episode in this modern day. I think they did it amazingly. It was written so well by Russell. Ncuti was great. Varida was great. The other actors in it were great. You know, the woman who's looking for Tommy Lee, her son, the diner worker, forgotten his name. Just so many. Reg Pie was great, and not to mention, of course, the wonderful Alan Cumming, who voiced Mr. Ring-a-Ding, and that catchy song, I'm Mr. Ring-a-Ding, I make your heart bell sing. Like, that is Doctor Who, and that is what, if I was a kid, would have made me watch more, you know. It would have made me want to watch more, seeing something like that. And I'm glad that we're sort of aiming this towards new kids, but also I'm still enjoying it, and I know many people enjoyed Lux as well. Lux, my friends, is going in S tier without a doubt, without even a second guess. The next one's controversial, right? The Well. As an episode, I think it is probably another S tier. Now, my only issue with this is it's a midnight sequel, which at the time I loved. However, I don't think it did good justice to Midnight. It didn't take away, it doesn't make me hate Midnight now, and it doesn't make me hate this episode anymore. I just don't like it. I think this episode could have been something amazing on its own. We didn't need the Midnight connection. You know, we didn't need it. We could have run with this creepy creature that we don't know what it is that stays on people's backs. But no, instead we got Midnight, which again, it's not terrible. It's just, would I have chosen to do that? No. But in saying that, it is still a great episode, so I'm going to put it in S tier. It took me a little bit of thinking there, but I liked it. I did like it. It was scary as well. That was something that we don't get enough of in Doctor Who these days. I was genuinely terrified. So the episode came out, I watched it in the morning, whatever. But then that night, or the night after, I was editing like a video I did on the channel. It was called like, did they ruin the Midnight Entity or something like that? And I was editing it and I was watching back clips of the episode to get it for this video. And I was genuinely getting scared. I was getting scared by this weird creature like 2 a.m. So if it can scare me, it's great. I loved it. Very horrific episode. Now, halfway through the series, we have Lucky Day, which it's a very tricky one for me. When I first watched it, I didn't like it. Then I watched it again, and I really liked it. Now I sort of think it's okay. I don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, it set up the finale, and I suppose it was good. The Shriek were quite interesting creatures. I mean, Mrs. Flood really intrigued me in this episode, from the little we saw her at the end. Conrad is a very weird character. It's a unique episode. I think the reason I didn't like it to start with is because I felt it was very, very similar to Love and Monsters. And I prefer Love and Monsters, personally. But I don't think it's bad. Do I think it's better than the Robot Revolution? I think it's on par with the Robot Revolution, so I'm going to put it there, in B. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying for now. Personally, where I would stick Series 2's episodes. Now this is probably my most controversial. The Story in the Engine. without even a thought, going straight into D. I really, really disliked this episode. I think it took what Doctor Who is, completely threw it out the window, and we were just expected to be told everything. You know, there wasn't an adventure. With Doctor Who, I like an adventure, and this is why I say my favourite thing about this episode, I'm not racist, my favourite thing was the Lagos, Nigeria, the community, the setting itself just looked great. The barbershop looked great, and that's part of the adventure. But then it was just, sit down, let this barber guy talk. And I must say, Sean Ferrick, I love Sean Ferrick. He thinks this episode is one of the greatest Doctor Who episodes of all time. And I just cannot wrap my head around how anybody could even begin to think that. It was so dull to me. And I'm very sorry, Inuit Elms. I'm sure you're a great writer. And to be fair, you're right, your dialogue and your story was really, really good. It just didn't feel like Doctor Who to me. So yeah, I'm sorry. Like, again, nothing against you. I'm sure you're really great. But as an episode of Doctor Who, and in terms of this series, which has overall been really strong, I'm afraid the story in the engine is going straight down into the D tier. Unfortunately, it pains me to say, but what's done is done. That's not even the right phrase that I was going for. Right, the Interstellar Song Contest. Now, it's odd because my initial reaction to this I actually really liked. Then with this one, I rewatched it again, and people online made it all about the politics of like Israel Palestine and like the actual Eurovision politics, which I can get why, but like I just think we need to treat it as a Doctor Who episode. So just because it might side with a side of the war you're not a fan of, or it just discusses the war which you're not a fan of, I think we need to just treat it as an adventure, which is how I always treat my Doctor Who episodes when I rank them. As an adventure, this episode straight away goes in A for me. Like, I've moved it. This episode straight away goes in A. Because it's not, it's not S tier, it's not a Lux, it's not as quirky and camp. Well, it is camp actually, but it's not as quirky and funny and have memories in my head that will last forever when someone mentions Doctor Who, like Lux does, and it's not as horrifically bone-chilling vibes that The Well is. But it is very good, and Juno Dawson did a very, very good job with it. And of course the Rani reveal, that's another reason why it's not going in S. Was not a fan of how they did the Rani reveal. I wish the Rani would have revealed herself on the stage, although, to be fair, in the reality war, we do get to see the Doctor's initial reaction, or Belinda's initial reaction to Mrs. Flood, which is what I always wanted to see. That was what I was really annoyed we were robbed of at the end of this episode and at the end of Wish World, but whatever, it's not bad at all. The next episode, Wish World, going straight in A as well. I think it was very, very... Now I can watch it back and appreciate it more. When it came out, I was very split. I liked the idea. It felt very Lie of the Land. I liked the idea. But in terms of actual episode, I wasn't... It was part one, so it was hard to measure it, because a lot of part ones get let down by part twos. But this, I feel like if I rewatch Wish World now, I am way more hyped, because I know what happens. Do you get me? Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's my point. Now that I know what happens, I can go back, rewatch this and think, you know what, bloody hell, that was a good episode of Doctor Who. So it's going in the A tier for now. And next up, the Reality War, which is going to sit next to it in A. I don't think that's bad to say. A lot of people online really dislike this episode. I'm still not too sure what the ending is. In my head, the ending is crack in time, Poppy gets faded out, then the Doctor regens it, so Poppy gets brought back in. But other people are saying that the Doctor changes reality, so now Belinda's a mum. I saw it as Belinda was a mum the whole time, and we didn't see it because of this crack. The way I'm doing it is going in A. If it's the other way around, it might be dropped down to B. But yeah, I like the episode. I mean, Ncuti's regeneration was just beautiful. Where there's tears, there's hope. Beautiful song. Beautiful, beautiful song. Just whack the table. But yeah, great episode in my opinion. 13 was there. Who else returned? I'm missing something. I mean, Omega was a bit of a letdown. That's why it's not going in S. But Great episode. Great episode. And that is the whole of Series 1. Season 2. Didn't even get the right number. So I'll read you through. Right at the bottom, we've got the story and the engine written by Inuit Ellams. Then in the B tier, we've got the Robot Revolution and Lucky Day, the Robot Revolution, written by Russell T Davies, and Lucky Day, written by Pete McTighe. Then in A tier, we've got the Interstellar Song Contest, written by Juno Dawson, and Wish World and the Reality War, written by Russell T Davies. Then, right at the very top, in the S tier, we've got Lux, written by Russell T Davies, and The Well, written by Russell T Davies, and Sharma Angel Warfall, I think her name is, something like that. Very sorry, love, I've forgotten your name. But yeah, there you go. That is my full tier list for the Season 2. You have watched my whole video now. Thank you so much for sticking around. I mean, it's like probably about 2 hours of me rambling about Doctor Who, which, you know, I'm grateful. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. It means the absolute world. If you could leave a like and subscribe, I know I've said it earlier, but if you leave a like and subscribe, it mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. And yeah, I probably will do this for The War Between the Land and the Sea. And I'll do it for Season 3 if that ever comes around. Who knows what Billie Piper will bring to the role. I'm excited though, and next week or the week after, you will see, or maybe in a few weeks, depending on if I need a lie down, you will see every Ncuti Gatwa episode in one video, which is going to looking at the minute to be about 4.5 hours long. So if you enjoyed this, be prepared. There's a 4.5 hour long video essay coming on every Ncuti Gatwa episode. It's coming to you very soon. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe. If you want to leave a super thanks, you get a shout out in the next video. Thank you very much. I love you all with my whole heart, and yeah, I'll see you very soon again. Goodbye.